When it comes to a country during times of chaos, if someone can bring about new reforms and establish a new era, they will naturally gain a lot of heavenly Tao fortune. Su Jie pondered in his heart, seeking insights into the study of heavenly Tao fortune. Trying to achieve this in the Tianyuan world may not be easy. Just the 3 sects and 5 families of the Delhi dynasty, the Delhi royal family, Heavenly Patrol Department, and other forces will focus on the Heavenly Destiny people, and even the legendary overseas Holy Land might be watching. After all, the Delhi dynasty is currently in chaos, and the number of Heavenly Destiny people has surged, with many eyes watching this environment. If Su Jie were to casually find Heavenly Destiny people, even the 3 states would be enough for him to operate, but the amount of heavenly Tao fortune he could absorb would likely be limited. Perhaps on Blue Star. Su Jie's eyes flickered as he looked at the 33-layered heavenly palace that was being built rapidly, murmuring to himself, "Well, it's beneficial for the world. It's not impossible to operate." Time flies. Half a year later on Firefly Sea Lake Heart Island. In the largest closed cultivation chamber, Lu Yingying sat cross-legged on a cushion, her facial expressions alternating between a frown and a relaxed state. Spiritual energy continuously swirled around her, with a 9-grade sacred lotus and holy Bodhi tree placed to her left and right. Both innate divine plants possessed the ability to aid in enlightenment. The former had dragon, phoenix, and Qilin phantoms surrounding Lu Yingying, galloping up and down, while the latter spread heavenly sounds of pure cleansing through its swaying branches, calming the mind and enhancing focus on comprehending the great Tao of heaven and earth. At this moment, Lu Yingying was breaking through to the secret realm. If other inner disciples saw this scene, their eyes would bulge with envy. Which family's breakthrough to the secret realm could be so luxurious, using 2 innate divine plants to assist in enlightenment and increase the breakthrough probability? Su Jie quietly sat to the side, writing and drawing on a piece of paper, waiting for Lu Yingying's final breakthrough. With Su Jie as a Tao protector, even if something went wrong in the end, Lu Yingying would not be in danger. Fortunately, this did not happen, and Su Jie didn't have to intervene. Su Jie slightly turned his head and saw the faint golden flame of fortune above Lu Yingying's head slightly fluctuating. Whether it was the influence of heavenly Tao fortune or the enlightenment bestowed by the 2 innate divine plants, Lu Yingying's cultivation progress accelerated continuously, and her spiritual power conversion increased until she reached the final threshold. A large amount of spiritual energy mist poured into Lu Yingying's body from the air, causing her internal organs to resonate. Finally, her liver lit up with green light beams, as if a deity had suddenly opened its eyes to observe the human world. Everywhere its sight reached, the ground turned into lush forests, filled with strong and vibrant life force. This signified that Lu Yingying had ascended to become a first-level secret realm cultivator, activating the deity within her liver. Lu Yingying opened her eyes, looked around in a daze, felt the cool sensation from her liver, and the strong life force surging through her limbs and bones. She felt that even if someone stabbed her heart, she could quickly heal herself. Lu Yingying blinked, instinctively waved her hand, and operated the all swords returning to one manual. The surging spiritual power within her body formed a sword chi in the void with a gentle wave, piercing through the thick stone wall in an instant. Su Jie stepped forward, glanced up and down at Lu Yingying, and said with a chuckle, "Finally, at the first level of the secret realm. Getting you to break through wasn't easy. What? I've been diligently cultivating, and I'm considered a genius after all." Lu Yingying waved her pink fist at Su Jie, then burst into a cheerful laugh. "Heh! I'm a secret elder now. Taking off. Su Jie, look, I'm now a master at the secret realm level." As she spoke, Lu Yingying couldn't wait to levitate and fly in front of Su Jie. Physical body flight is one of the hallmarks of a secret realm elder, which Lu Yingying admired the most. For Lu Yingying, the enhancement in combat power didn't matter much because with Su Jie around, and at worst Xiao Qian, Han Ruyan, and the annual ringworm were also there, she didn't have the chance to intervene. In other words, if it came to Lu Yingying fighting, it would also indicate that Su Jie's team was on the verge of being wiped out. With so many resources, if you still couldn't break through, I would have nothing to say. Su Jie laughed and reached out to pull Lu Yingying, who was flying around the cultivation chamber, into his arms as she let out a scream, feeling the pull of gravity. She could no longer fly, falling into Su Jie's hands. "Come here. Let me check your body." Su Jie embraced Lu Yingying's waist and seriously conducted an examination. After confirming there were no hidden issues, he nodded and said, "No problem. The ascension process was very smooth. As I said, I'm a genius." Lu Yingying put her hands on her hips, a secret realm cultivator claiming to be a genius in front of Su Jie, a purple mansion cultivator. Only she dared to say that. Su Jie tapped Lu Yingying's head with amusement and said, "A real genius would produce a celestial phenomenon when ascending to the secret realm, like the dew of an immortal seed." Ouch, ouch. It doesn't hurt much anymore. Lu Yingying froze, as her self-healing ability of her physical body enhanced greatly with the activation of the deity within her liver. Zizzes. Xiao Qian emerged from Su Jie's sleeve at this time, seeing Lu Yingying's transformation, wiggling its antenna, and jumping into her arms, happily chirping. During this period, Lu Yingying mixed often with Xiao Qian because she was in charge of supervising and approving finances for the construction marvel site of the 33-layered Heavenly Palace. The Thousand-Hand Centipede was also an excellent worker. The Yinyang Sea-suppressing palace on Blue Star was built by the Thousand-Hand Centipede. So on Su Jie's instructions, the Thousand-Hand Centipede often followed Lu Yingying to the site, preventing any clueless cultivators from clashing with Lu Yingying. Xiao Qian. I'm now a secret realm expert. Am I not awesome? Lu Yingying no longer appeared as a career woman at this moment. The success in cultivation seemed to make her mindset feel younger. The Thousand-Hand Centipede nodded repeatedly, showing great approval of Lu Yingying's words. "Look." Lu Yingying looked at Su Jie triumphantly, lifted the Thousand-Hand Centipede high, flew out of the esoteric sect, hugging the Thousand-Hand Centipede and flying around in the sky. Previously, it was always the Thousand-Hand Centipede flying her, and now it was her turn to fly with the centipede. Human and insect played for over an hour before Lu Yingying returned to Su Jie's place. Satisfied. Had enough fun? Su Jie continued writing and drawing on the paper. "What are you writing?" Lu Yingying leaned in closer to see. Reading the words on the paper aloud, "Blue Star Spiritual Energy Ecosystem Transformation Plan. Mythical Heavenly Palace, Underworld, Screening of Heavenly Destiny People." Each word Lu Yingying understood, but the combination baffled her. Blue Star Spiritual Energy. Does Blue Star have spiritual energy? Lu Yingying looked at Su Jie, puzzled by his meaning. There's no spiritual energy available now, but once the 33-layered Heavenly Palace is completed, it can be supplied on a large scale. Su Jie stretched and holding Lu Yingying's waist, made her sit on his lap, explaining his plan to her. The more Lu Yingying listened, the wider her small cherry mouth opened in disbelief as she looked at Su Jie. This project is too audacious. Heavenly Tao Fortune. Can Blue Star really have such a thing? Su Jie laughed confidently. Of course, Blue Star has the Tao River, and there are young Tao chaos creatures in it, proving that other than the difference in spiritual energy environment, what can be done in the Tianyuan world can also be done on Blue Star. My Blood Sea Devouring Sky Demon skill, 100 Poison Refining Goo Scripture, 9 Nether Ghost Cultivation Technique, 10,000 Soul Banner, all succeeded on Blue Star, so there's no reason Heavenly Tao Fortune can't either. Lu Yingying thought about it, and it made sense. Although it sounded absurd, building a grand stage from scratch in a no-spirit environment like Blue Star, Su Jie had already created so many miracles there. Now, once a Purple Mansion cultivator, his strength is far stronger than before. Maybe it could succeed. Is there anything I can do? Thinking of this, Lu Yingying couldn't help but get excited. Already standing at the pinnacle of Blue Star's power, there were very few things on Blue Star that could move her. But Su Jie's plan was bold and intriguing enough to capture her interest. Let's work on perfecting the plan first. Leave it to me. I'm not good at fighting, but I'm very good at drafting plans. Blue Star, Chan Country. March 27th. The entire Chan Country is enveloped in a festive atmosphere. Because today marks the 10th anniversary of the Jekka Group's unification of Chan Country, a day when Jekka Group officially stepped onto the international stage. It was also from this day that Jekka Group began its conquest of Southeast Asia, eventually becoming the sixth guardian of Blue Star. This day is also designated as the founding day of Jekka Group. Monday City on Jekka Avenue, to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Jekka Group's founding, Jekka Group specially organized a grand celebration and parade, with high-ranking officials and dignitaries from Southern Alliance member countries and allied nations in attendance. Tens of thousands of citizens and tourists gathered on both sides of Jekka Avenue, with Shin Xueqing holding her phone, streaming live on the DoShark platform for the audience far away in Hua Country. As the most popular female anchor in the current horror district, with her identity as a top player in Nightmare Park, Shin Xueqing frequently shuttles between Chan and Hua countries. Naturally, she wouldn't miss such a grand parade, and even managed to get a front-row standing ticket, enabling her to better stream the event. Long live the Supreme Leader! Long live the Supreme Leader! Long live the Supreme Leader! Suddenly, a wave of cheers erupted like a tidal wave, with countless local Chan country spectators excitedly waving their hands. Their Supreme Leader Su Jie was riding in an open-top car, reviewing the soldiers on the parade ground. The atmosphere is truly intense. Shin Xueqing clicked her tongue secretly, stood on tiptoe, and worked hard to aim her phone at the parade ground. She couldn't tell if it was an illusion, but she seemed to feel that Su Jie glanced in her direction, as if he was looking at her. How could that be possible, considering who I am? Shin Xueqing shook her head and focused on her streaming. A moment later, squads of soldiers formed neat phalanxes, continuously marching down the spacious Jekka Avenue, the bayonets like a forest, the shiny steel helmets reflecting the light, every movement and indifferent expression exuding a sense of deadly seriousness. Shin Xueqing instinctively held her breath, knowing that those participating in the parade were elite troops of the Jekka Group. And Jekka Group, having emerged from a sea of corpses and blood, is either fighting or on the way to fight. It only settled down in recent years after becoming the sixth guardian of Blue Star. These elite soldiers, each having taken lives, projected such strong killing intent that many spectators were so stimulated they got goosebumps. Now marching are the genetic warriors from the Iron Brigade. They are the spearhead of the Empire, known for mobile operations, three-dimensional offensive and defensive capabilities, full-domain operations, multifunctional operations, and sustained operations. Main battle mechas are the Empire's shield. The new generation of Spider main battle mechas have undergone comprehensive innovation, assuming roles in ground offensive and defensive operations such as fire strikes, fire support, and fire blockade, potential for deep strike fire attacks on battle regions. They can also coordinate with the Navy, Air Force, and Rocket Force for joint fire strikes. The strategic bomber echelon is roaring in, featuring 18 Luanyang Airspace strategic bombers forming 3 squads of 6. The showcased Luanyang Airspace strategic bombers are domestically produced long-range strategic bombers with a combat radius of up to 30,000 kilometers, capable of long-range raids, extensive area patrolling, and out-of-area strikes, providing a reliable and available Imperial longsword to safeguard the safety and developmental interests of Jekka Group. Now entering the field is the Strategic Nuclear Missile Formation. Amidst the sonorous and intense military music, parade formations successively marched down Jekka Avenue. Shin Xueqing watched without blinking, particularly amazed by the genetic warriors in their second-generation biological armor, resembling a steel forest, or the 12-meter-tall Spider main battle mechas with their foreboding 203mm main artillery, towering like moving mountains, shaking the ground with every step, evoking an overwhelming sense of awe. Apart from the Devourer-class cruisers and Destroyer-class battleships of the Navy that couldn't come ashore for the parade, all of Jekka Group's various new heavy weapons were on full display. With such military might, it's no wonder they're the sixth guardian of Blue Star. Shin Xueqing murmured, a sentiment echoed by many tourists. Even among the attending dignitaries and guests from various countries, there was a palpable sense of a powerful pressure known as the Tiger and Wolf Army. This parade of merely 10,000 could potentially sweep across most countries worldwide. And Jekka Group, with its force of 1 million and diverse heavy weaponry, even posed challenges to the beautiful country. Yet the power witnessed here was just the tip of the iceberg of Jekka Group's true strength. Su Jie stood on the review stand, observing the Blue Star Force he founded, simultaneously scanning the tens of thousands of citizens and tourists below. Could it be that Blue Star's world standards are lower than those of the Tianyuan realm, making the manifestation of heavenly Tao fortune so intriguing on Blue Star? Under Su Jie's view, powered by the Taishu heavenly destiny technique, the heads of tens of thousands of people were crowned with varying heavenly Tao candles. These heavenly Tao candles were much weaker compared to those Su Jie had seen in the Tianyuan world, leading him to speculate that perhaps the heavenly Tao here on Blue Star was weaker than that in the Tianyuan realm, which explained this. However, as Su Jie had guessed, Blue Star also had people with a heavenly destiny. Among tens of thousands of ordinary people, a very few had much brighter heavenly Tao candles above their heads. For example, Su Jie spotted a woman holding a phone streaming live. While others had candle flames the size of beans, her heavenly Tao candle was as large as a football. Such a heavenly Tao candle surpassed ordinary people by far. In the Tianyuan world, she would be considered endowed with heavenly destiny, favored with heavenly Tao fortune, a definite heavenly destiny individual. Su Jie pondered in his heart, deciding to have a look worldwide at the situation of these heavenly destiny people. The next day, Nightmare Park, the grand birthday celebration was over. Chan Country had already returned to its normal production and life, and Nightmare Park also reopened. Shun Xueqing stepped into this familiar place with a portable live streaming device hanging on her body. Nightmare Park, your king is back. As soon as she walked in, Shun Xueqing made a big victory gesture. Others trembled when entering the notorious and terrifying Nightmare Park, but Shun Xueqing looked excited. From a young age, Shun Xueqing was a dedicated horror movie enthusiast. As she grew older, her fear threshold became higher and higher. After high school, any horror movie, horror film, horror game could hardly bring her a hint of sensory stimulation. Left with no choice, Shun Xueqing thought of live broadcasting, asking her audience to recommend more terrifying games and movies, which led her to become a streamer. Until she later encountered Nightmare Park, like Mars meeting gasoline. The intense thrill far exceeded any horror games and movies she had ever played or watched. Once she came in contact, Shun Xueqing fell completely in love with it. Almost every aspect of the Nightmare Park had her footprints, but Shun Xueqing most frequently visited the one in Monde City, because the number and variety of ghosts here were the most comprehensive, providing the strongest sensory impact. Sister Calm is bragging again. If you have the skill, go challenge hell-level ghost house. I won't talk about who got scared silly last time in the limited-time unsolvable level ghost house. Go, 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 Sister Calm quickly disguised as a newbie, blend into the tourist group, and show off later. The barrage in the mobile live stream surged, and everyone mocked Shun Xueqing's overconfidence. In fact, Shun Xueqing wasn't just boasting. Nightmare Park had classified ghost houses into ordinary, difficult, nightmare, hell, and unsolvable levels. Shun Xueqing was the first in the world to clear a nightmare-level ghost house. Even now, only about 30 people could clear a nightmare-level ghost house, which showed its gold content. I'll start with an ordinary-level ghost house to warm up. Shun Xueqing gave an okay gesture to the camera, then approached a team recruiting in the square. Due to the reward mechanism of Nightmare Park, many professional ghost house adventurers emerged, able to maintain a decent life by challenging for bonuses or acting as guides to give first-time visitors a better experience in Nightmare Park. So the square was full of recruiting teams. With her outstanding looks and identity as a streamer, Shun Xueqing successfully blended into a group of tourists who were all newbies visiting Nightmare Park for the first time, targeting the ordinary-level ghost house. Count me in. A plain young man approached the team, with an accent indicating he was from Hua Country. It was Su Jie, disguised in appearance, and Shun Xueqing was his chosen first Heavenly Destiny person observation target. What should I call you, brother? Shun Xueqing looked at the two Chinese in the team, including herself, while the others were either foreigners with blonde hair and blue eyes or people from Southeast Asia. Chun Hu. Su Jie smiled, looking Shen Xueqing up and down. This close observation made Su Jie discover that Shen Xueqing was not only favored by heavenly Dao fortune, but her destiny was also unusual. In the environment of Tianyuan world, this kind of destiny might be one of the divine bodies, possibly with an immortal seed demeanor, which might explain her innate courage. Unfortunately, on Blue Star, her destiny couldn't create any divine body, only bestowing minor peculiarities more than ordinary people. In essence, she was still a regular person who could be killed by a single bullet. Your name sounds powerful. Make sure to protect me inside. I'm very afraid of ghosts. Shen Xueqing chuckled, pretending to be vulnerable, like a frightened little animal. Oh no, Sister Calm is up to mischief again. I can already imagine how miserable this man is going to be later. Sister Calm pretends to be weak now, but soon the hunt will begin. The barrage flew, with everyone seemingly anticipating the entertaining segment. Every time Shen Xueqing visited a lower-level ghost house, she found a so-called brother, mingled with them, triggering the man's protective instincts. Watching them insist on performing in front of women, yet getting scared by ghosts, creating a chaotic and particularly entertaining effect. The ghost house quickly opened, and a group of 20 people put on 3D glasses, entering a ghost house set in an abandoned hospital. Soon, several first-grade fierce ghosts placed here began their action. The tourists who came here were constantly screaming in fright, although it was just ordinary-level ghosts. For ordinary people, it was still extremely terrifying. The immersive horror and thrill quickly scattered the group, frightened by the fierce ghosts into disarray. Brother, there's a ghost coming, run aw. Brother, aren't you afraid? Bro, you're not a newbie, are you? On the other side, Shen Xueqing looked at Su Jie speechlessly. She found that Su Jie's emotions were exceedingly calm, 10 times calmer than her, facing the ghosts in the ghost house without fear. In reality, Su Jie was more focused on observing Shen Xueqing's heavenly Dao fortune. The fierce ghosts in the ghost house were real murderous ghosts, only restrained by Han Ruyan and the formation to ensure nothing went wrong. At this moment, the heavenly Dao candle above Shen Xueqing's head was extremely stable, showing no changes. What about this? Su Jie felt a slight stir in his heart, pinched a spell with his left hand, altered the nearby formation, and lifted the constraints on the fierce ghost, which was like opening the iron cage holding a tiger. Why does it suddenly feel so chilling? Shen Xueqing felt curious, and after rounding a corner, found that Su Jie had disappeared. Instead, the surrounding air had become particularly cold. Bang! Heavy footsteps echoed, accompanied by the sound of metal scraping against the walls. In the hospital corridor, a fierce ghost wrapped in bandages, standing 2 meters tall, with a bulky figure and only a pair of crimson eyes exposed, appeared in Shen Xueqing's vision. In its left hand, it held a heavy butcher knife, the thick blade about a meter long, reflecting a cold light in the darkness. Just in that instant of eye contact with the fierce ghost, the heavenly Dao candle above Shen Xueqing's head began to flicker violently, as if blown by a wild wind. At the same time, a nauseating stench of decay reached Shen Xueqing's nostrils, like a corpse rotting for 10 days. Shen Xueqing could even see dark red blood seeping from under the bandages of the fierce ghost, dripping onto the ground. As an experienced player, Shen Xueqing had seen many terrifying scenes in Nightmare Park, but this time was very different. Except for the unsolvable level ghost house, even when facing hell-level ghost houses in the past, the fierce ghosts inside, however bizarre their methods, never gave her such a strong feeling. Her heart started racing madly upon seeing the bandage-wrapped fierce ghost. Her skin felt like it was pricked by needles, and an intense terror swept over her. What's going on? This sense of unease. It should have been just an ordinary level ghost house's fierce ghost. Shen Xueqing unconsciously stepped back, her face slightly pale though she was known for her calm demeanor. Eat. Eat meat. Eat meat. The bandage-wrapped fierce ghost abruptly widened its stride, the butcher knife sparking off the wall as it charged at Shen Xueqing, its bandages wildly unwinding like tentacles, wrapping toward Shen Xueqing. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. This fierce ghost is different from any I've seen before. What's going on? Shun Xueqing's sense of crisis instantly magnified tenfold. Driven by instinct, she darted into the room on the side, shut the door, and jumped onto the window, trying to edge along the wall to the next room. Boom! The entire door was instantly broken down. The raging aura of the bandaged fierce ghost entered, its blood-red eyes locking onto Shun Xueqing, throwing the butcher knife directly at her. Snap! At the crucial moment, Shun Xueqing slipped, her foot missing the edge of the window, causing her to fall down. The butcher knife sailed just overhead, trimming a few strands of her hair. If she had been a second slower, she would have been decapitated. Luckily, her fall was broken by a decorative tree, which caught onto her clothing, allowing her to land with just a few scrapes. The bandage-wrapped fierce ghost approached the window, seemingly intent on pursuing further. But then, a figure appeared at the window. Seeing Su Jie's silhouette, the bandaged fierce ghost shuddered all over, as if seeing its worst fear, and directly kneeled. The intensity was too high. Indeed, on Blue Star everyone is ordinary. Even the lowest first-grade fierce ghost, even heavenly destiny people would fall. Su Jie saw Shun Xueqing, who was rubbing her waist and getting up, and noticed the heavenly Tao candle above her head was nearly extinguished. It was already quite difficult for her to escape unharmed due to the help of heavenly Tao fortune. If Su Jie hadn't stopped the bandaged fierce ghost, the so-called heavenly destiny person would have died on the spot. Su Jie largely understood that in the Tianyuan world, personal might belongs to the individual, and heavenly destiny people are often more extraordinary. But on Blue Star, individual power is limited. Even among the collective, what heavenly destiny people can do has its limits, endlessly bound by it, often restricted by the power of the group. If it were a heavenly destiny person from the Tianyuan world, at a life or death moment they might power up, gain enlightenment at the last minute, punch hard to turn the tides against a fierce ghost. But on Blue Star, no matter how much you power up with adrenaline maxed out, it's impossible to reach that extent. Unable to break through the ordinary person's limitations, the environment does not allow it. That was a close call just now. That fierce ghost was spooky. Shun Xueqing got up from the ground, looking up at the hospital window, only to see darkness. Nothing there. She didn't think about the actual fierce ghost, just wondered if there was a bug in her 3D glasses program this time because the sensory stimulation from an ordinary level ghost house was so intense. Is Sister Calm creating a contrast effect here? Haha. What's up with Sister Calm today? Getting scared out of her wits? Even worse than a newbie, jumping out the window. Sister Calm, no fear. Let's head back and confront that fierce ghost head-on. Meanwhile, the live chat room was going wild, mocking Shun Xueqing for being frightened by a ghost from an ordinary-level ghost house. That fierce ghost was really different. I can't quite pinpoint the feeling, but it really felt like I could be killed. Shun Xueqing tried to argue a couple of points, but the chat room didn't believe her, thinking she was just making excuses. From beginning to end, Shun Xueqing had no idea she had become a sample for research by a purple mansion cultivator, leading to today's unexpected catastrophe. Finally, it's over. That heavy gift crab almost gave me a heart attack. It was really thrilling. I want to try it again. Come on. Who was it that almost wet their pants from being scared by the ghost just now? As the time in the hospital haunted house ended, each tourist was either pale-faced or bluffing, and some tourists were so scared their legs were weak and were carried out by the staff. Handsome guy, why didn't I see you just now? At the exit of the haunted house, Shun Xueqing saw Su Jie again. Got lost. Come on, you're clearly not an ordinary tourist, right? Shun Xueqing rolled her eyes, but didn't take it to heart. Su Jie passed by Shun Xueqing, smiled and said, "You have more courage than many guys, very talented." These words have a double meaning. Su Jie was referring to Shun Xueqing's talent by birth. Shun Xueqing naturally didn't understand Su Jie's words, and muttered, "Goodbye if we're fated. Oh, by the way, brother, search Sister Calm on Do Shark platform. Remember to give me a follow. I will follow you." Upon hearing this, Su Jie showed a meaningful smile. After saying this, Su Jie immediately turned around and left, while Shen Xueqing didn't mind it and continued chatting with her live audience. After leaving Nightmare Park, with every step Su Jie took, his figure became more and more blurry, like erasing with a rubber from the air, and surrounding passers-by were completely unaware. Suddenly, Su Jie touched between his eyebrows with his right hand. The Tao River was opened, and Su Jie stepped into it. In the eternally existing Tao River, Su Jie appeared here. Here, energy, matter, and space, including time, are chaotic and disordered. Cultivators who haven't cultivated Yang God are simply unable to operate for long in the Tao River. However, Blue Star's Tao River is relatively calm, much weaker compared to the Tianyuan world. If it were in Tianyuan world, Su Jie wouldn't dare to randomly enter Tao River, as some dangers inside could be fatal even to Su Jie. After entering the Tao River, Su Jie closed his eyes and pondered for over a dozen seconds. Then his body surged, lifted his foot fiercely, and chaos wave fluctuations happened in space. In the blink of an eye, Su Jie appeared at another spot in Tao River. Su Jie stared ahead with determined eyes, without hesitation, once again leveraging Yang God to open Tao River, directly stepping out. The next moment, Su Jie appeared in a fiery red world. Here, as far as the eye could see, was a slowly flowing sea of magma, extremely high in temperature and with immense pressure. Under Blue Star's surface, it is divided into the crust, mantle, and core, and Su Jie is currently in the magma layer just below the crust, over 100 kilometers below the surface. Just because of the chaotic space within the Tao River, Su Jie used this characteristic to appear below the crust. Feeling the state of the Yang God within him, only a small portion had been depleted, which is unbelievable in Tianyuan world. If it were that easy, Purple Mansion cultivators would be traveling like this all the time. The corresponding Tao River in Tianyuan world is like a turbulent mighty river, and trying to use the Tao River's power to move quickly in the real world not only massively depletes Yang God, but you also can't accurately pinpoint where you'll be transported by the space. Not to mention the inherent dangers of the Tao River. Encountering a Tao chaos creature or some Tao disaster is absolutely a life-or-death struggle. The magma layer under the crust is an area currently unreachable by human technology of Blue Star, and humans also cannot live in such an environment. But for Su Jie, coming here is like soaking in a hot spring. The magma temperature and crust pressure have no effect on Su Jie. With the Tao River, what's to be done next becomes more convenient. Xiao Qian, come out quickly. As he spoke, Su Jie had already taken out a storage bag from his waist, calling out the thousand-hand centipede at the same time. Sizzle! The thousand-hand centipede also crawled out from Su Jie's sleeve. This magma environment equally cannot affect it. Time to get to work. Su Jie patted the thousand-hand centipede's head, then took out various spiritual materials from the storage bag, including several large array plates. Cold jade stone sand, heavenly gang chi condensing pearl, fire demon tree heart, green water flood dragon gold, starlight velvet stone. Piece by piece of spiritual material, extremely precious in Tianyuan world, was taken out by Su Jie. The thousand-hand centipede took these spiritual materials from Su Jie's hands and began embedding these vast quantities of spiritual materials into several array plates laid out by Su Jie, according to the positions given by him. Su Jie wants to conduct his transformation in Blue Star. To obtain more heavenly Tao fortune, initiating an unprecedented spiritual energy recovery is undoubtedly the greatest beneficial move for Blue Star's heavenly Tao. Indeed, the heavenly Tao fortune that Su Jie wants to intercept is to instigate a wave of spiritual energy recovery on Blue Star. This is an unprecedented feat for Blue Star, achievable only by Su Jie who can traverse both worlds. By comparison, even incorporating all of Blue Star into governance is mere child's play against Su Jie's plan. After all, the change Su Jie wants to bring about is a comprehensive reform of Blue Star. It's not an exaggeration to say it's to elevate the world's specifications. Heaven's hidden ground fire, internal and external unity, sea of fire, open. Su Jie performed a spell with his hands. Spiritual energy in his body continuously gushed forth, dispersing towards all directions. The magma, which was originally slowly flowing, suddenly stirred uneasily, The flowing speed of magma continuously accelerated, causing a riot. In Sujie's hand, the several array plates unfolded, continuously expanding, absorbing the magma's energy, gathering the power of earth fire, and transforming where the earth vein is located. The magma layer, covering a radius of several hundred miles, stirred violently. At the center of the array plate, 100 feet tall magma chelan materialized, emitting a sky-shaking roar. This was the Five Elements Heavenly Fire Formation. A radiant fire phoenix unfurled its wings, causing the magma temperature to rise slowly. Its appearance seemed to ignite the magma further, imposing a terrifying high-temperature effect, turning the magma into a whitish-blue color. This was the Divine Phoenix Fire Suppression Formation. There are several similar formations. To maintain the operation of these formations, a large amount of precious spirit stone was invested into them. The magma is like the blood of the human body. Setting up a grand array here could have a significant effect on the transformation associated with spiritual energy recovery. The Thousand Hand Centipede collaborated with Sujie to progressively perfect the construction of the formations. Even though some work was saved by the array plates, these grand arrays were colossal in scale, considering they aimed to modify the environment of an entire planet. They required Sujie to continuously perform fine-tuning to achieve a most intricate balance. Meanwhile, as Sujie worked in a desolate forest in Chan country, the effects of the magma layer's agitation began to show. In the forest, countless birds and beasts became restless. The trees swayed, the earth cracked, and an 8.0 magnitude earthquake erupted from the forest's earth vein. Even through the thick earth's crust, Sujie's array activities still impacted the surface. Luckily, Sujie had preemptively planned for this by choosing an uninhabited forest, thus preventing significant casualties. Sujie busied himself in the magma layer for over half a month, finally adjusting a few array plates properly. After testing twice and confirming there were no issues, Sujie once again opened the Tao River, borrowing the chaotic space forces here. Whoosh! Sujie took another step, leaving the Tao River. This time, Sujie appeared on an expansive ice field, with the endless ocean stretching in the distance and numerous ice floes dotting the sea surface. Crack! Crack! A group of penguins originally gathered here became agitated. The sudden appearance of a human silhouette startled them, and many penguins spread their small wings, running clumsily outward. Some penguins surrounded the human silhouette, curiously gazing at this two-legged creature. Their small eyes filled with great confusion, seemingly pondering what kind of species this was in the North Pole, daring to walk on 2 feet like them. Sujie squatted down, hugging a chubby penguin, and gave its smooth fur a vigorous rub before releasing the Thousand-Hand Centipede. The idle emanation of ominous aura from the Thousand-Hand Centipede frightened the curious penguins, prompting them to turn and scurry away with their stubby little legs. Several array plates were extracted by Sujie, who beckoned the Thousand-Hand Centipede to continue working. One array plate was driven beneath the ice field by Sujie, while another was placed into the deep-sea rock layer. When these array plates expanded, some surrounding countries issued tsunami warnings, as instruments detected a forming tsunami, urging coastal residents to evacuate promptly. And this was just the beginning. Over the next year, Sujie traveled to multiple locations: the South Pole, Mount Everest, Hawaii volcano, the Dead Sea, Sahara Desert, Alps Snow Mountain, and so on. Sujie's footprints marked many places globally, incidentally causing global natural disasters such as tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, hurricanes, and earthquakes to become frequent throughout the year. Global scientists conducted special research on this issue, but no root cause was found. It was only attributed to Blue Star's recent bad temper. Consequently, the end-of-the-world theories began to gain traction, with many people believing them, leading to massive panic buying and stockpiling of supplies, resulting in significant unrest in various places. In the Tao River, Sujie entered this space once again. However, this time Sujie spent more time walking in the Tao River. After numerous coordinate calculations, Sujie finally chose to leave the Tao River, appearing in a void of darkness. Turning slowly, Sujie gazed upon a blue planet before him. The planet's blue encompassed 71% of its surface, formed by vast oceans, green by dense, endless forests, yellow by sprawling deserts, and clusters of cities shining like bright constellations. Su Jie stood with hands behind his back, his gaze fixed intently on Blue Star. Finally, the last step. Although I don't have the 33-layered heavenly palace, I'll have to temporarily use Spirit Stone instead. Su Jie took a deep breath. A year's worth of work had left Su Jie's array plates scattered across Blue Star. Now, Su Jie's task was to completely interconnect these array plates. Well, Shao Qian, let's begin. The thousand-hand centipede perched on Su Jie's shoulder nodded. Under Su Jie's watch, flying into space. Su Jie also retrieved the specially prepared array plate, Yin Yang Tai Gathering Spirit Formation. This array plate was meticulously crafted by Ghost Ridge Palace array masters over half a year, precisely for this day. From today forth, everything will begin to change. Su Jie smiled and fully unfolded the Yin Yang Tai Gathering Spirit Formation. Rumble. In the dark, silent void of space, an intensely brilliant, dazzling light erupted. Hundreds of thousands of top-grade spirit stones shone like stars as the formation unfolded. A massive wave of spiritual energy surged towards the blue planet like tides and waves. What's happening? Inside the International Space Station, 7 or 8 blonde foreigners noticed something was amiss. The space station's instruments detected considerable abnormal fluctuations, visible even to the naked eye through the glass. A dazzling white light appeared in space around Blue Star. An astronaut from beautiful country leaned against the glass window, his mouth agape, observing countless white lights spontaneously erupt in the universe like endless waves rippling outwards. This spectacle was not only visible in space, but also observed from many regions on Blue Star's surface, as stunning celestial phenomena unfolded overhead. In the sky, it looked as if a white sun had appeared, its edges surrounded by countless oscillating halos, refracting incomprehensible complex colors. In some regions that had already entered nighttime, the white sun's rays illuminated the exterior, waking many people from sleep, who looked outside at the bright-as-day streets in shock. Various governments were alerted immediately, with aerospace bureaus worldwide working overtime. This celestial occurrence lasted for a good 10 minutes before slowly dissipating. Even after the white sun in the sky vanished, many still felt as though they were dreaming, nearly convinced they were in a dream. But upon checking their phones, they found information had exploded, with videos taken worldwide being uploaded online, causing widespread astonishment. Oh my God! What was that just now? What on earth was that white sun? Unbelievable, I'm from Denmark, yet it was bright as day just now even though it's nighttime here. My dad, mom, brothers, and sisters all came out with me to watch. Now, there are still lots of people in pajamas gathering on the streets. This is definitely a rare celestial spectacle. Satan. Satan is coming. This is Satan trying to destroy our world. Everyone will die. Oh my, various natural disasters have spiked this year. Is it really the end of the world? Didn't the Mayan prophecy of 2012 pass? Damn it. I don't care. I'm going downstairs to stockpile some food. A bunch of fools. Clearly this is God's miracle. How warm, kind, and inclusive the white sun's rays are, just like God. What a surprise. This is our South Korea's latest super doomsday weapon. Just a small experiment just now. The Vatican Church just released an announcement. The Pope declared responsibility for today's event. This is God blessing mankind. The white sun is the legendary heaven itself. As long as everyone maintains piety towards God, they can enter heaven after death. For a time, there was a whirlwind of opinions online, ranging from end-of-world theories, divine intervention theories, astronomical phenomena theories. The entire Blue Star became captivated by the appearance of the white sun, entering a state of frenzy. In the dark and silent space, Su Jie continued to stand firm. The massive Yin Yang Tai Gathering Spirit Formation in front of him was slowly dissipating, blending into the air. It's a pity that the 33-layered Heavenly Palace isn't yet complete, so I have to temporarily use spirit stones as a source of spiritual energy. Su Jie sighed. Right now, the spiritual energy recovery plan for Blue Star was just beginning. However, Su Jie had faith that things would be very different once the 33-layered heavenly palace was constructed in the future. Perhaps even, while Su Jie was in thought, he suddenly felt the candle of fortune above him begin to flicker and swell unpredictably, as if gasoline had been poured onto its flame. It's here. Su Jie felt a tremor. He had put so much effort into the formations on Blue Star, modifying it bit by bit, all for this heavenly Tao fortune. And indeed, the outcome did not disappoint him. The heavenly Tao candle above his head soared from a diameter of several meters to over 100 meters. Such immense heavenly Tao fortune was terrifying. If an ancient being like Cui Lin from the Tianyuan world saw this, who knows how shocked they would be. Heavenly Tao fortune is crucial for breaking through to the void realm. Old figures like Cui Lin, who turned themselves into not quite human or ghost through the life tomb secret technique, linger underground just to seize the heavenly Tao fortune of heavenly destiny people, awaiting that slim chance to break through to the void realm. From afar, the fortune candle above Su Jie's head burned fiercely, continuing to expand every moment, with no sign of stopping. The color seems different. Suddenly, Su Jie noticed something unusual. Originally, Su Jie's heavenly Tao fortune had a deep golden hue. Now it had turned into a magnificent blend of purple and gold, with purple dominating over 90%. Even more astonishing, the mysterious ancient mirror that had remained dormant in Su Jie's sea of consciousness suddenly flew out on its own, landing within the heavenly Tao candle above him. Su Jie was utterly surprised. The ancient mirror, capable of traveling between two realms, rarely reacted like this. As the mirror fell into the heavenly Tao candle, the frame, once covered in patina, began to shed its tarnish under the intense heat. Could it be a heavenly fortune treasure? Su Jie's eyes widened. According to the Taishu heavenly destiny technique, some have forged special heavenly fortune treasures using heavenly Tao fortune, also known as Tao treasures. Such treasures, infused with the power of the heavenly Tao, possess the accumulated fortune of billions. They can easily shatter mountains, incinerate the skies, and boil the seas. These are weapons that only void realm cultivators can forge and wield, far more powerful than spiritual treasures. And while heavenly Tao fortune is just one way to create Tao treasures, there are also methods that involve forging with divine metals from the Tao River or using the bodies of Tao chaos creatures. Despite the different methods, they are all known as Tao treasures. The abnormality with the ancient mirror made Su Jie instinctively think it might be a Tao treasure. But quickly, Su Jie dismissed the notion. For the ancient mirror wasn't absorbing heavenly Tao fortune but was using it to clean some tarnish, which didn't align with the characteristics of a heavenly fortune treasure, but rather seemed like it was simply using the fortune to cleanse itself. Unknowingly, Su Jie closed his eyes, focusing his entire mind to sense the changes in the heavenly Tao fortune. Heavenly Tao fortune is an arcane energy, typically accessible only after breaking through to the void realm and beyond. Yet, Su Jie was experiencing an extremely potent heavenly Tao fortune that kept intensifying. Bound to the mysterious ancient mirror through his divine soul for a long time, now the mirror received the tempering of the heavenly Tao candle. And with that, Su Jie finally made a discovery. Unseen, in the interstice between the Tao River and reality, there floated an invisible mist. This mist was a faint purple, exuding majesty and sanctity. Upon perceiving this purple mist, Su Jie seemed to witness the explosions of stars, observing endless dust, gases, and star fragments rotate and collapse, colliding and grinding under gravity to form a colossal ball of liquid magma. In the end, the sphere cooled over thousands, millions, and tens of millions of years, forming a solid crust. Volcanic eruptions brought steam. The steam turned into rain, forming oceans, and life began to evolve. From single-celled organisms to multicellular life, along with vegetation, innate disasters echoed across eons, with life forms extinguished and evolving, making the planet ever more stable. There emerged seasons with winds and drifting clouds, rolling thunder, vast grasslands and forests, unending rivers nourishing all, towering peaks and ridges. and the world became vibrant and colorful. Now, a new round of grand changes was again unfolding on this planet. Just like the first drop of rain that fell on this star, eventually forming a vast ocean. The first single-cell organism birthed, eventually proliferating into millions of species. The land sprouted vegetation for the first time, eventually forming lush grasslands and forests. Unprecedented energy from other worlds will bring unprecedented changes to this planet, changes that are 100 or 1,000 times greater than before. Within the heavenly Tao candle, about 1% of the mysterious ancient mirror's bronze rust has fallen off, and it flew back into Su Jie's sea of consciousness. Su Jie came back to his senses from his trance, and the bizarre scenes that had appeared like a slideshow in front of his eyes shattered and vanished, as if everything just now was an illusion caused by Su Jie's distraction. But Su Jie clearly knew that what he had just seen and heard was where the heavenly Tao resides. I see. This is the blue star's heavenly Tao. Su Jie murmured to himself, looking at the purplish-gold heavenly Tao fortune above his head, which had already expanded to a diameter of several hundred meters. At this time, the golden hue of the heavenly Tao fortune was very small, while most of it was shrouded in purple. Su Jie had already understood in his heart that the two colors interwoven in the heavenly Tao fortune represented different things. The gold was from the Tianyuan world's heavenly Tao fortune, while the purple represented Blue Star's heavenly Tao fortune. The Tao River spans ancient and modern times as well as a myriad of worlds. But the heavenly Tao is one level lower than the Tao River, with each world's heavenly Tao being different. In the past, the heavenly Tao fortune above Su Jie's head was primarily from the Tianyuan world, and although it seemed that Su Jie's achievements on Blue Star were greater, the heavenly Tao level of Tianyuan world was higher, and its quality far surpassed that of Blue Star. Therefore, even though Su Jie possessed the heavenly Tao fortune of Blue Star, it was almost invisible due to the suppression by the heavenly Tao fortune of the Tianyuan world. Until today, Su Jie transformed Blue Star and initiated the spiritual energy recovery, bestowing upon him a vast amount of heavenly Tao fortune from Blue Star, far surpassing the share of heavenly Tao fortune from Tianyuan world. Likewise, if Su Jie could transform Tianyuan world by bringing a quantum black hole, light computers, mechanical ascension to immortality, thought datization immortality, and other high-level technological explosions, covering the Tianyuan world, then it would also bestow upon Su Jie a great amount of heavenly Tao fortune. Unfortunately, this is an impossible task. Blue Star doesn't have this technology. Although the existing Blue Star technology has its merits, it is not sufficient to form a dimensional downgrade to the Tianyuan world, granting very little heavenly Tao fortune. More of it still stems from Su Jie's own efforts to stir up trouble in the Deli dynasty and quell the chaos, which granted him heavenly Tao fortune. But for Blue Star, the spiritual energy from Tianyuan world constitutes a dimensional downgrade, which can bring about an ascent in world specifications, hence bestowing such a large amount of heavenly Tao fortune to Su Jie. Understanding this principle, Su Jie looked at the blue planet before him and couldn't help but exclaim, "Indeed, Blue Star is like my dear mother, truly loving and nurturing." Comparing the heavenly Tao fortune of Blue Star, which expanded to several hundred meters, made the heavenly Tao from Tianyuan world seem somewhat stingy and shabby. Speaking of which, could my Blue Star heavenly Tao fortune be used in Tianyuan world? Su Jie suddenly thought of another question. The key to advancing to the Cave Void Realm was that Su Jie had obtained a lot of critical information from the Chui family, a 1,000-year-old aristocratic family, as Chui Lin, a late-stage purple mansion cultivator who lived for over 5,000 years, had always sought to advance and couldn't possibly have done so without gathering information. Now Su Jie roughly understood that advancing to the Cave Void Realm required two aspects. One was the need to refine a pocket world. The stronger the pocket world, the greater the benefits after advancement. The other was the amount of heavenly Tao fortune which could serve as a catalyst. Refining a pocket world is somewhat misleading. For example, if Su Jie wanted to refine the Firefly Sea, it doesn't mean incorporating the Firefly Sea into himself. Rather, it involves seizing the authority of the heavenly Tao from the Firefly Sea region, with the heavenly Tao like a chessboard and the pocket world as the pieces. Refining a pocket world to advance to the Cave Void Realm is akin to fully mastering a chess piece, partially acquiring the authority of the heavenly Tao and making it a part of oneself. The bigger and stronger the pocket world, the stronger the authority mastered. In this process, heavenly Tao fortune is crucial because relying solely on brute force is almost impossible to challenge the heavenly Tao, as human power cannot possibly compete with it. You can only use heavenly Tao fortune to either gain the heavenly Tao's recognition or find a loophole. Refining stronger pocket worlds requires more heavenly Tao fortune. Of course, most people can't even meet the minimum standard. Su Jie suspected that Emperor Tianwu, who established the Dili dynasty, was able to successfully advance to the Cave Void Realm by creating a new dynasty with a vast amount of heavenly Tao fortune, likely refining a remarkable pocket world. The problem is, most of Su Jie's heavenly Tao fortune comes from Blue Star. When the time comes to refine the pocket world of the Tianyuan world, will Tianyuan world recognize it? Could the two different heavenly Tao fortunes clash at that time? Understanding this question, Su Jie had a conflicted expression. No, it's not necessarily required to refine a pocket world from Tianyuan world. Looking at the blue planet in front of him, influenced by spiritual energy recovery, a crazy idea suddenly sprouted in Su Jie's mind. Since most of my heavenly Tao fortune comes from Blue Star, why seek far and wide? Isn't the best pocket world right before me? At this thought, Su Jie felt the sky open wide, his heart pounding with excitement. Blue Star. The second day after the appearance of the white sun celestial phenomenon, the warm morning sun shone on a remote village in Hua country. The morning mist had not yet dissipated, and an old farmer, carrying a hoe and wearing a straw hat, swayed as he rode an electric bike out the door, taking advantage of the time before the scorching midday sun to tend to his fields. His name is Luo Jian Country, a name with a sense of the past, and he is a native farmer of Luo family village. Despite the declining income from farming over the years, there is a saying that if farming could make money, then farmers would have no land to farm. Luo Jian Country is the same. After deducting the costs of fertilizers, pesticides, and seeds, he barely makes any money year-round, just enough to scrape by with a meal. After all, he has been dealing with the land all his life and knows no other skills, so farming has become his main source of income. Occasionally, he would do odd jobs in town, but now that he's older, people look down on him, and most of the time he still tends to his small plot of land. Old Luo heading to the fields so early. With just that bit of land, it's not worth the hard work. Why not rent it out to others? It'll save you effort and trouble. Did you see the white sun last night, Luo Jian Country? This is the video I took. Come take a look. Let me tell you. People in the countryside rise early, and villagers would chat and gossip with Luo Jian Country along the way. Oh, I did see the white sun. Got up last night and watched it for half an hour. But as intriguing as it was, you can't neglect your fields. People can skip a meal, but seedlings can't go without water for a day. Luo Jian Country showed a simple smile, greeting some villagers as he went to his fields. His fields were not at the village entrance because decades ago a mudslide occurred, causing many houses to relocate and the village to shift from its original site. Luo Jian Country's fields were in the direction of the old village site, but the electric bike made it convenient to get there. The electric bike traveled along the dirt road, crossing a small dirt mound, with Luo Jian Country's fields ahead. Luo Jian Country had been here countless times, and he couldn't possibly take a wrong turn even with his eyes closed. But today, when Luo Jian Country looked towards his fields, he suddenly stopped, rubbing his eyes, doubting whether he was still dreaming. However, Luo Jian Country looked around, and it was right. Nothing seemed different about the grasses and trees nearby. The mountain was still the same mountain, and the river was the same river. He hadn't taken a wrong turn, because, right in front of Luo Jian Country's fields, stood a massive tree towering over 100 meters tall, its canopy like a giant umbrella, blossoming with countless dazzling golden flowers, vaguely resembling a willow tree. This is the old willow tree. Luo Jian Country's eyes widened, seeing a tattered red cloth strip hanging on the tree trunk, finally recognizing the origins of that tree. At the old village site entrance, like many village entrances, Luo Family Village also planted an old willow tree. Before Luo Family Village was relocated due to the mudslide, It was a place where many elderly residents gathered in the evenings to cool off, chat, and play cards, and where children played. Luo Jian Country spent much of his youth playing there. This old willow tree was planted by their Lu family ancestors, with a history of over 100 years. There was even an external merchant who once tried to purchase it at a high price, but was then collectively opposed by the villagers of Luo family village, allowing the old willow tree to remain. Yet Luo Jian Country passed by here every day, and the old willow tree was at most 15 or 16 meters tall. Moreover, it wasn't the willow tree's flowering season, and it didn't bloom in these golden red colors. Could it be haunted? An inexplicable sense of fear welled up in Luo Jian Country's heart, looking at the 100-meter-tall towering tree. It wasn't as if he hadn't been here for decades. He just passed by yesterday. This means that the tree grew from a little over 10 meters to 100 meters overnight. The older generation was more traditional and superstitious. Faced with such an illogical yet seemingly supernatural scene, Luo Jian Country quickly turned his electric bike around, revved it hard, and sped back toward Luo family village. Not good. Someone come quick. Our village, the willow tree at the village entrance, is haunted. Luo Jian Country shouted at the top of his lungs, quickly alarming the entire village. One by one, villagers came out of their houses, looking bewildered at the panic-stricken Luo Jian Country, not knowing what madness had overtaken him. After hearing Luo Jian Country's explanation, many villagers burst out laughing initially. Old Luo, did you not sleep well last night? Why are you having visions early in the morning? Haha, our Luo family village's old willow tree grew 10 times taller overnight. Uncle Luo, I never knew you had such a sense of humor. What do you people know? This is called the real deal going unnoticed. Old Luo was not amazed enough by last night's white sun, so he's purposely joking with us. The villagers laughed heartily, not taking Luo Jian Country's words seriously. I'm telling the truth. If you don't believe me, come with me to see. If I'm lying in any way, I will. Luo Jian Country stammered a bit. Then, seeing the indifferent attitudes of those around him, he loudly declared, I'll treat everyone to a meal. The surrounding villagers paused, knowing that hosting wasn't a word often associated with Luo Jian Country due to his family's poor economic condition. Let's go. Let's all go and take a look. Jian Country is always honest and not one to boast easily. This was the old village chief of Luo family village, stepping out, understanding Luo Jian Country's nature, and inviting everyone to come along and see. Listen to the chief. All right, let's go see. Nothing better to do anyway. If there's nothing there, I'll definitely get a good meal out of old Luo. Upon hearing this, the surrounding people followed the respected old chief's lead. Soon, talking and laughing, the group arrived at the old village site entrance. When everyone saw the massive tree towering 100 meters, its canopy like an umbrella, they were so stunned that their eyes almost popped out, finally realizing that Luo Jian Country's words were not false. See, I wasn't lying to you all. Luo Jian Country shouted loudly, and as more people gathered, he became less afraid. Oh my! This is our village's old willow tree. How did it become like this? Whoa! Has it mutated or something? Ancestral spirits, bless us. Your descendants will go to the ancestral hall and offer incense to you. The villagers were all quite shocked, and some knelt down, bowing to the willow tree, thinking it was the manifestation of their ancestors' spirits. My God! I got it. This must be related to that white sun last night. It's a sign of the end times. Everyone, hurry up and stockpile food, prepare weapons, and build a doomsday shelter. A young man couldn't help but shout. Although many young people from the village went out to work, some remained in the village. Nonsense. This is the old tree that has watched us grow up since childhood. Now that the tree has shown anomalies, it's clearly the protection from our Luo family's ancestors. It has nothing to do with the end of the world. The old village chief slapped the young man on the back of the head, speaking irritably. The young man scratched his head, looking very innocent. Village chief, that's how they write it in the doomsday novels I read. Read less of those in the future. The old village chief, leaning on his crutch, called out, "Come over, a few of you, let's get closer and take a look." I'll go. The young man who spoke earlier volunteered, and along with a few others accompanied the old village chief towards the willow tree. As they got closer, they were increasingly stunned by the enormity of the willow tree. The trunk alone required dozens of people to encircle, and the tree crown covered a diameter of several hundred meters of the sky dome, with speckled light filtering down, falling on them. "Village chief, why do I feel a bit hot?" "Me too. Yes, I've been wanting to say that for a while now." Beads of sweat trickled down their foreheads, their bodies drenched in sweat. The old village chief looked at the fiery red hue of the tree bark, seemingly understanding something, and cautiously placed his crutch against it. It was as if touching a red-hot iron, as wisps of blue smoke rose from the bottom of the crutch, eventually catching fire. Seeing this, everyone took a sharp breath, backing away in surprise. Before they could react, the sky was filled with birds flying towards the spot. From sparrows to white cranes, they all swarmed around the willow tree, forming a circling dance, seemingly worshipping the willow tree. Immediately after, the birds began fierce competition amongst themselves, pecking and clawing at one another in combat, with feathers falling everywhere. Only some of the stronger birds managed to fly onto the lush canopy of the willow tree and began collecting fallen leaves, as if to build nests. Are these birds crazy? Is there some treasure on the tree? Otherwise, why are these birds fighting so fiercely? The ancestors truly appeared. Surely our ancestors want to hint something to us. The villagers of the Luo family village discussed animatedly, with some already taking out their phones to capture and record this astonishing scene. "I understand now." The young man, upon witnessing this astonishing scene, suddenly shouted, startling those around him. "You understand again?" The old village chief glared. The young man quickly said, "Village chief, there's a saying that goes, 'Plant a wudong tree and the phoenix will come.' Our tree here is the wudong tree, which is why it attracts a flock of birds wishing to settle and nest here." The old village chief was momentarily speechless, saying, "But this isn't a wudong tree either." The young man patted his chest and said confidently, "I think it's related to the white sun last night. Our willow tree is reverting to its ancestral form. Earlier I was wrong. This is not the end but rather the spiritual energy recovery. You should read fewer novels. What kind of willow tree can revert to an ancestral form and mutate?" The old village chief, whiskers bristling, seemed as if he might hit the young man with his crutch on the spot, causing the young man to quickly hide in the crowd. Because the willow tree was so extraordinary, the villagers of the Luo family village dared not approach it at will. However, the commotion here inevitably spread, and people from nearby villages heard of it and came rushing over, while people from the city drove in to witness the spectacle. Related videos spread online, garnering huge attention, with self-media bloggers rushing to Luo family village to gain traction and livestream the event. But before the commotion could last long, soldiers appeared in Luo family village, completely sealing off the area under the guise of a military exercise, prohibiting anyone from approaching. The original villagers of Luo family village were given large sums of money and relocated from the village. Almost simultaneously, large numbers of researchers and high-tech equipment were continuously transported into Luo family village, and renowned professors of biology and botany from major universities were invited to conduct studies around the mutated willow tree. Yet many were still unaware that similar scenes were occurring dozens of times around the world. The entire blue star, like bamboo shoots after the rain, was being affected by a vital force, influencing every inch of land. Luo family village, in front of the 100-meter-tall old willow tree, a team of researchers had already arrived here. Leading them was the most renowned biologist of Hua country, Lin Jing'an. Though over 50, his face was flushed with excitement as he gazed in fascination at the magnificent willow tree before him. "The heat is really astonishing. It's like standing next to a steel furnace." Lin Jing'an was visibly shaken, looking at the golden-red textured bark of the willow tree. There was no normal plant on Blue Star capable of altering the surrounding environment's temperature. Professor Lin, what do you think of this willow tree? Can you figure out the principle of its mutation? Beside Lin Jing'an, a man dressed in a black uniform, looking very capable, asked. His name was Hua Jia, from the Supernatural Special Safety Administration established by Hua Country, also known as the Special Security Bureau. This department wasn't newly established. It was set up years ago after the appearance of Penglai Fairy Island and the sea monster landings in Sakura Valley. But since its establishment, the Special Security Bureau hadn't achieved much. Sea monsters have basically disappeared, and the Inyang Sea Suppressing Palace no longer stirs up tsunamis and disturbances. Until the recent earth-shattering white sun, plants around the world have undergone astonishing mutations, and the Special Security Bureau has been urgently mobilized. It's hard to say. We have to wait for the investigation results. Lin Jing'an shook his head, not giving an answer but instead asked, I heard that similar plant mutations have occurred abroad as well. Is that true? Hua Jia nodded and said, Indeed, reports of plant mutations have been gradually coming in from places like Chan Country, Beautiful Country, Maubert, Europe and America, and Africa. Ever since the white sun appeared, these plants underwent earth-shattering changes overnight. The light released by the white sun, I personally think it might be some kind of unknown radiation, and since plants need to perform photosynthesis, they reacted before we did. Lin Jing'an slowly spoke, offering a hypothesis. Hua Jia noted it mentally and was about to continue speaking when, Old Lin, the test results are out. At this time, a middle-aged woman wearing golden silk glasses hurried over, holding a stack of reports in her hand. She was Lin Jing'an's wife, Xiao Yingying, also a biologist. Lin Jing'an quickly took the report. They had already collected some leaves and bark samples and sent them to the instrument department for a comprehensive and in-depth analysis. This is. Lin Jing'an carefully looked at the report, getting more and more surprised as he read. Old Lin, you've noticed it too, right? Xiao Yingying was not only shocked but also somewhat puzzled. Have you discovered something important? Experts? Hua Jia, noticing their expressions, hurriedly asked. Lin Jing'an seemed to recall something and said solemnly, I once conducted half a year's research on Penglai Fairy Island. Specialist Hua knows, right? I know. Hua Jia nodded. He had also participated in the Penglai Fairy Island project. Years ago, after Jekka Group and Beautiful Country engaged in a major naval battle in the Ryukyu Sea, Jekka Group achieved a glorious victory with the destruction-class battleship Yuan Shou, splitting Japan in two. Penglai Fairy Island, located in Japan's sea domain, was thus partly under Jekka Group's control. In essence, the war between Jekka Group and Beautiful Country was to compete for dominance over this super-ancient civilization island, and Jekka Group emerged as the biggest winner. But Jekka Group did not monopolize Penglai Fairy Island entirely. Instead, like a space station project, it actively launched international development, inviting renowned scientists from various countries to Penglai Fairy Island to partake in scientific activities, and later even opened the periphery for tourist visits. Hua Country was also a participant in such a grand project. Of course, because Penglai Fairy Island is extremely dangerous, with various perilous magic artifacts left on the island, buildings protected by mysterious formations, and plants capable of easily taking human lives. To this day, research on Penglai Fairy Island remains at a very preliminary stage, with researchers unable to truly explore it in depth. The sample analysis of this willow tree before us shares many characteristics with those I analyzed from samples of plants on Penglai Fairy Island. Lin Jing'an's eyes were grave as he slowly revealed his conclusion. Similar characteristics to the plants on Penglai Fairy Island? How is that possible? Hua Jia felt a chill down his spine. Those spirit root treasures on Penglai Fairy Island, some could heal human injuries, some could easily kill, and some could travel underground. The idea of this old willow tree having similar properties to Penglai Fairy Island's plants. Isn't it suggesting that if one day the old willow tree were to grow legs and run like the wind, it might just happen? Xiao Yingying, a bit displeased, said, We wouldn't deceive you on this matter. You can take this sample analysis and consult anyone involved in the Penglai Fairy Island project. Realizing his mistake, Huijia cleared his throat and apologized. Ahem. I'm really sorry. I wasn't questioning you too. It's just such things are hard to believe. I understand, and I too find it hard to believe, but the facts are what they are. Actually, there's another matter I'm more concerned about right now. Lin Jing'an took a deep breath and pointed to the willow tree's canopy above, saying, I've been monitoring the birds nesting on the tree for the past 2 days and found their body size seems to have grown uncharacteristically. Specialist Hua, if the white sun can induce astonishing mutations in plants, is it possible it could have the same effect on animals? Following Lin Jing'an's gaze, Huijia looked up at the bird's nest above. Though there's no sight of any birds, an involuntary chill runs through my heart. No matter how much plants mutate, their aggression won't be too strong. As long as you don't get too close, you'll generally stay safe. But if animals also mutate, things will become extremely dire. In the beautiful country, along the Alaskan coast, a yacht is cruising near the shore. On the deck, a group of wealthy-looking people are sitting in groups, sipping red wine while admiring the dance of a few hot ladies. On the other end of the deck, a middle-aged white man with a wild aura is smoking a cigarette, polishing a double-barreled shotgun. Brew, why haven't we found anything in these 2 days? No news from your subordinates. A rich man holding red wine approached. His name is Aston O'Connor, a well-known real estate businessman in the beautiful country. Mr. Aston, brown bears aren't like wild grass. You can't expect to encounter them all the time. Besides, our hunt this time hasn't been entirely fruitless. Brew placed the double-barreled shotgun down, shrugged helplessly, and pointed to the bear skins, deer skins, and wolf skins hanging on the yacht's deck. Among them are 3 bear skins, 1 large and 2 small. These are from a hunt 3 days ago, involving a mother bear and her 2 cubs. Although most countries have listed various species of wild bears as protected animals, prohibiting hunting in the beautiful country, aside from polar bears being on the protection list, regular black bears and brown bears from the northern states, and giant brown bears in coastal areas of Alaska can still be hunted under strict regulation. However, the laws of the beautiful country don't allow hunting juvenile brown bears, but obviously, laws in this capital-dominated country can't reach these rich folks. No, Brew, we paid a hefty sum to hire you to hunt adult male brown bears. That's the most challenging and thrilling hunt. These minor prey just can't satisfy us. Aston shook his head repeatedly. The hunting trip he organized was to bring a group of wealthy individuals to the Alaskan wilderness for an adventurous, thrilling hunt, which is one of the rich folks' pleasures. The brown bear, which can weigh up to 600 to 700 kilograms, is a dream prey highly desired by top international hunters and wealthy individuals. Brew is the hunting guide Aston specifically hired, boasting 20 years of hunting experience in Alaska, along with a team of seasoned hunters. I will find the male brown bear, Mr. Aston. It just needs a little more time. Brew was about to temporarily placate Aston when his phone rang. After answering, he heard an excited voice from his subordinate. Boss, we found traces of a brown bear. Judging by the footprint size, it's a male brown bear. My God. I've never seen such large footprints. God bless us, it seems our luck is quite good. Brew immediately broke into a smile and said to Aston, Gentlemen, the target we've been tirelessly searching for has appeared. Grab your gear. Let's go meet that big fellow. Upon hearing this, the wealthy individuals who were indulging in wine and merriment turned their heads. Haha. Finally a brown bear shows up. Grab the guns. Don't let baby bear wait too long. I'm the best shot. This time I'll take the first shot. Fake. I've never killed a male brown bear before. No one competes with me on this. 7 or 8 wealthy individuals chatted and laughed, grabbed their guns, and donned cold-weather clothing and boots. Once the yacht was securely docked, a group of wealthy individuals, led by Brew, promptly disembarked, accompanied by several bodyguards. A dozen or so people, guided by Brew, tread on the wilderness soil heading inland. After some walking, they finally met up with Brew's team before the afternoon. His team consisted of 5 hunters carrying rifles, surrounded by a pack of hunting dogs. Brew went over first and asked, "What's the situation now?" "Boss, look." One hunter led Brew to a large tree and said with a smile, "Here we found the brown bear footprints and fresh bear droppings, left just last night. This should be the boundary of its habitat." Brew crouched down, observed the bear prints on the ground, and measured them with a tape. Even he was taken aback. The brown bear footprints on the ground were a staggering 35 centimeters wide. It's known that typical male brown bear footprints are only about 25 centimeters or so. Even polar bear prints aren't this enormous. Despite years of hunting, it was his first time encountering such giant footprints. A terrifying giant already formed in his mind. "Everyone, it seems we are about to face a supergiant with astonishing size. Its weight is estimated to exceed a ton, even larger than a polar bear. I've never seen such a massive creature. It feels like we could apply for a Guinness World Record." Brew showed an excited smile, without a hint of fear. The wealthy folks gathered around, delighted upon seeing the exaggerated footprints on the ground. Aston couldn't stop smiling and shouted, "Brew, what are you waiting for? I can't wait to peel off this giant's bare skin and make it the best decoration in my study. This hunting trip is simply a surprise. I didn't expect to encounter such a behemoth. Those who didn't come will definitely be envious. Haha, only such strong and fierce brown bears are worthy to be my Giano's prey." A group of wealthy individuals rubbed their hands together in excitement. Individual size matters not. They have hunted elephants in Africa. In pursuit of thrills, the stronger the prey, the more it ignites their hunting desire and competitiveness. As long as they have their guns, no carbon-based life form can stop them. "Release the hunting dogs." Brew hesitated no longer and called out to his subordinates. A pack of hunting dogs, agile in their movements, took off running across the wilderness, following the scent trail left by the brown bear. A group of wealthy individuals followed behind, guided by the hunting dogs, feeling thrilled at the prospect of hunting the gigantic brown bear. Woof, woof, woof. An hour later, Brew and the others heard the sound of dense barking coming from ahead. "We've found it." Brew's eyes lit up, and he quickly signaled everyone to pick up their pace. The wealthy patrons, who were already somewhat fatigued, were invigorated by these words and sped up their steps. Minutes later, everyone arrived in front of a small hill. The hounds surrounded a mound of earth, in which there was a deep, bottomless hole. It was obvious that the prey they were searching for resided inside. Since brown bears are naturally active at dawn and dusk, they would hide in their dens to rest during the day. "Brew, is this the bear's den?" Aston aimed his hunting rifle at the mouth of the hole, his expression growing more and more excited. "That's right." Everyone stepped back a bit. Brew instructed the group to move back a little and then gestured to his subordinates. Several hunters understood the gesture, stepped forward to pat the heads of the hounds, and whistled, "Good boys, go, go, go. Flush out the slumbering fool inside." Although sending the hounds into the den to encounter the brown bear was sure to result in heavy casualties, as long as it made the wealthy patrons happy, their reward would be extraordinarily generous. Hounds could be purchased again, but opportunities to make money were not as plentiful. Woof, 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 woof. Under the hunter's urging, the hounds appeared extremely restless. Some of the hounds tucked their tails between their legs and refused to enter the pitch-black hole, no matter how much the hunters tugged at their collars. "What's going on?" Brew frowned. In the past, even when facing male brown bears, the hounds he had trained were fearless, bravely charging forward to fight, and had never shown such fear. It seems the creature inside is indeed large enough to make the hounds afraid to enter. Aston chuckled, and the other wealthy patrons had similarly amused expressions. Brew felt somewhat embarrassed. He prided himself as Alaska's greatest hunter and could not allow anyone to doubt his hunting skills. "Stand aside. I'll handle it." Brew personally stepped forward, patting a few of the fiercest leading hounds and feeding them some food. The highly aggressive hounds hesitated for a moment, but finally, under their master's orders, bravely crawled into the den. "It's done." Brew smiled, while the other patrons watched the entrance without blinking. In a mere 7 or 8 seconds, a thunderous roar resonated from within the den, followed by the terrified whimpers of the dogs. A foul breeze blew from the den. The group was so stunned by the roaring that their ears buzzed, and they nervously gulped, aiming their guns at the entrance. The hounds around the mound already had their tails tucked in, whimpering as they fled far away, not daring to approach at all. In the next moment, a massive shadow surged from the den, appearing before everyone. Roar! A towering bear, 4.5 meters tall when standing, weighing at least over a ton by estimation. The fur unlike common brown bears, silver-white like armor draping its mighty frame. Its bloody maw stained with the blood and bits of hound. Claws over a dozen centimeters long were extended, and its cold, fierce eyes locked onto Brew and the party. The group of wealthy patrons was so awestruck by the ferocious, terrifying silver bear that their minds went blank. It was the experienced Brew who reacted first, reminding them, "Aim. Don't panic. Aim and then fire." Bang! Aston pulled the trigger, and the hunting rifle in his hand erupted in flames. He was using an elephant gun specifically designed to hunt large animals. Even elephants and African buffalo couldn't withstand a single shot from it. At a distance of several tens of meters, Aston, a seasoned hunter, took part in many hunts and had excellent marksmanship. This shot hit the silver bear's shoulder. Ha ha! The silver bear, such a rare and beautiful pelt. It will be my greatest trophy. Aston was filled with excitement. With this shot, it seemed all would be over. However, Aston's smile lasted less than 2 seconds before vanishing without a trace, and the others shared his fate. Under normal circumstances, even an elephant, if struck by such a shot, would fall dead. Yet this silver bear remained steadfast. Its silver fur was faintly glowing, the bullet embedded in its flesh but not having harmed bone or vital organs. This act not only failed to bring down the silver bear but utterly enraged it. Roar! With an enraged roar, the silver bear charged toward the crowd like a tank. "It's not dead." Aston was astounded, unable to comprehend why, despite his hit, the silver bear continued its mad attack. Brew, the seasoned hunter, was also wide-eyed, seeing the furious silver bear charging. He hurriedly raised his gun, not caring to reserve this shot for the patrons, and fired a shot at the silver bear's head. The bullet opened a burst of blood on the silver bear's head, but still couldn't bring it down. Bang! 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 A group of wealthy individuals, hunters, and bodyguards, unable to withstand the psychological fear as the silver grizzly approached, all pulled their triggers. Blood blossoms exploded on the silver grizzly's body, but none of it could stop the grizzly's advance. Within a few breaths, the silver grizzly had completely charged into the crowd. Aston, standing at the front, was nervously reloading his shotgun, and when he looked up, the silver grizzly was right in front of him. Terrified, he turned to run, but it was already too late. The silver grizzly, filled with hatred for the person who had hurt it, raised its massive paw and slammed it down on Aston. Bang! Aston's upper body was shattered under the grizzly's blow, with flesh and organs spraying in all directions. His lower half reflexively ran 2 steps before collapsing to the ground. Crunch! The silver grizzly then opened its bloody mouth. The bodyguard next to Aston was suddenly lifted off the ground, as the silver grizzly bit down on his head, eliciting an ear-piercing scream. With a terrifying bite force, the silver grizzly shook its head, crushing the bodyguard's skull. The headless body was flung over 10 meters away. A hunter raised his shotgun, aiming for the silver grizzly's eyes, but the grizzly suddenly roared, the stench blowing him several meters away, and his shotgun fell to the side. As the hunter staggered to get up, he realized the silver grizzly had somehow appeared in front of him, its upright shadow completely covering his body. Then, the grizzly suddenly stomped down. "No! Don't!" The hunter's scream was abruptly cut off. He had already been crushed into a pulp by the silver grizzly. "Shoot! Shoot! Damn it! It's a monster, a monster! Fake! Fake! The bullets don't work. It can't be killed. Aston is dead. Get out of here." The group of wealthy individuals was so terrified by the bloody scene that they were at a loss, many turning to run without looking back. Not to mention these pampered wealthy individuals, even the seasoned hunters, their hands stained with countless beasts' blood, were frozen in fear. They had never encountered a beast that couldn't be handled with shotguns, feeling as if their worldview was shattered. Run. Go back and call for reinforcements. This is a monster, we can't handle it. Brue shouted, turning to run quickly. Once boasting of being Alaska's finest hunter, he was now scared out of his wits by this terrifying grizzly, never having seen such a formidable bear before, like a monster out of a movie. Hunters are not fearless warriors facing life and death. Against the raging silver grizzly that couldn't be killed with bullets, everyone had one thought: to stay away from this monster. Running became what everyone was doing. Of course, the silver grizzly wouldn't let this group of humans who heard it get away. It had been sleeping peacefully in its den when disturbed first by hounds, then shot at, sparking its full fury. Chasing after the scattering humans, the silver grizzly roared. Every swipe of its massive paw resulted in bones breaking and guts bursting, blood and flesh flying all around, with no one surviving under its assault. Every bite of its bloody maw meant a human body being torn apart, organs scattering on the ground. The roles of hunter and hunted reversed at this moment, the wealthy individuals originally hunting the grizzly now becoming the hunted. They no longer thought of taking bear pelts home to brag, only of how to survive in front of the silver grizzly. A massacre unfolded on the Alaskan tundra, the silver grizzly outpacing humans in both speed and endurance, catching up and killing the fleeing humans one by one, staining the ground red with blood. In less than 10 minutes, of the party of over 20 that came to hunt the grizzly, only Brue remained. And he too was caught by the silver grizzly. Facing its ferocious approach, body covered in blood, unsure if it was bear blood or human, Brue loaded bullets into his shotgun as he ran. But by the time he was ready to fire, the silver grizzly had already slapped at him. The shotgun in his hands twisted and deformed, flying from his grip, and Brue was also sent flying, both arms severed at the shoulders, spurting streams of blood. Thud! 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 The heavy steps of the silver grizzly approached, Brue screaming on the ground, writhing. Without his arms, he couldn't escape his fate of death. He hadn't crawled a meter before feeling a strong, foul wind behind his head. Turning his head, he saw the bloody maw growing larger before him, and then Brue lost consciousness. Crunch! After biting off Brue's head, the silver grizzly roared to the sky, seemingly proclaiming its might. However, the pain from its wounds soon made the silver grizzly choose to leave the area. For despite suffering extremely severe injuries from multiple rounds of shooting, the strong scent of blood here would attract other beasts. The silver grizzly didn't return to its original den, slowly distancing itself from the area. After traveling dozens of kilometers, the silver grizzly finally found a hidden den, panting heavily as it lay on the ground. The pain on its body made it fall into a deep slumber, during which it instinctively absorbed the free energy in the air. It didn't know what this energy was, but only knew that a few days ago, with its unconscious absorption of this energy, its body became extraordinarily powerful. If a cultivator from the Tianyuan world saw this silver grizzly, they would surely realize it was evolving from a wild beast into a demon beast. 2 more days passed, and because the party hadn't returned, the yacht's crew called the authorities. With the police dispatching a large number of personnel and helicopters to search, they finally found Aston and the others. But by then, the wealthy individuals had become unrecognizably disfigured, shattered corpses, covered with marks from various beasts gnawing. The sacred willow of Luo Family Village attracts thousands of birds in worship. Experts claim it's a special plant mutation. A giant eagle has appeared in Yellowstone Park in the beautiful country, reportedly with a wingspan of 2 zhang. It has been captured by the beautiful country government, causing protests from animal protection organizations. A killer bear has emerged in Alaska, and renowned real estate tycoon Aston has died in a bear attack, leading to horrific casualties. Ganlu has fallen from the sky in the Sahara Desert. Strange plants are growing on the dunes, as shown in the photos taken by tourists. The large cruise ship Royal Aran, while navigating the Panama route, discovered an abnormal congregation of fish on the sea surface, forming eerie patterns. Almost simultaneously, various bizarre sightings began occurring around the world. The modern society's network is too advanced. A complete lockdown is practically impossible to achieve. Messages began to spread continuously, and media in various countries pursuing hot topics started reporting frequently. Forums related to paranormal activities, mystical knowledge, and ancient myths are stirring up a frenzy. People temporarily cannot use science to explain the sightings happening in various places and can only resort to mysticism. For a time, doomsday theories, spiritual energy recovery, devil's advent, ancient gods' return, and other statements were rampant. Around the sea area of Panglai Ferry Island, tourists from all over the world leaned on the deck of a cruise ship, looking at the foggy, enormous island ahead and taking various shots with their cameras. Please all tourists carry personal belongings, keep valuables safe, and disembark in an orderly manner under guidance. The cruise ship slowly docked at the pier built on Panglai Ferry Island, where staff from JECA Group stepped forward to direct tourists off the ship. In recent years, due to JECA Group's philosophy of cooperation and openness, a safely designated area on Panglai Ferry Island has been developed for tourists to visit, welcoming tourists from all over the world, and it has also provided more faith power to Panglai Ferry Island. Brothers, we have now set foot on the land of Panglai Ferry Island. Let's follow my perspective and admire the wonders left by this ultra-ancient civilization. Shun Xueqing fixed her live stream equipment around her neck and disembarked with the crowd. Recently, due to the influence of the white sun, various strange phenomena have frequently occurred, resulting in frequent news reports about plants and animals. As a horror zone streamer, Shun Xueqing considered starting a live stream to chase this trend. To this end, she came to Panglai Ferry Island, changing the live stream title to Searching for Spiritual Energy Recovery? Panglai Seeking Immortals. Panglai Ferry Island is recorded in ancient myths as the abode of legendary immortals, aligning with the current hot topic of spiritual energy recovery. Amazing! A one-day tour ticket to Panglai Ferry Island costs as much as 100,000 yuan. Sister Calm really went all out. Spiritual energy recovery is imminent. Panglai Ferry Island is surely the best spot for extraordinary encounters. Unfortunately, the ticket price is too expensive. Can't JECA Group make it cheaper? Get real, JECA Group being willing to open up Panglai Ferry Island is already incredible, and you still want it to be cheaper? There's no such good thing in the world. This title, Sister Calm really believes there are immortals. The number of viewers in the live stream quickly surged, as the recent changes in plants and animals caused by the white sun sparked a craze for spiritual energy recovery in Hua Country. Many tourists rushed to Dragon Tiger Mountain, Mount Tai, Wudong Mountain, Zhongnan Mountain, and other places to seek immortals and learn the way. By visiting Panglai Ferry Island during this hot topic, Shun Xueqing naturally attracted an audience with curious minds. Within 10 minutes of starting the live stream, the number of viewers had already surpassed 100,000 and continued to grow. Of course there are immortals. Today I'll show you the traces of immortals without fail. Shun Xueqing patted her chest and chatted casually with the live stream viewers while following the guide. The group of dozens headed deeper into Panglai Ferry Island along the safe route. The scenery on the island was quite awe-inspiring, with towering trees hundreds of meters tall standing majestically, their canopy like umbrellas, exuding a thriving life force. Occasionally, some treasures, strange flowers, spirit fruits, and strange grass could be seen. These spiritual root treasure medicines absorbed the essence of the sun and moon, and there were jade towers and palace and treasure towers hidden in the forest, with glimpses of ancient divine weapons spotted from time to time. Although they could only observe from afar and couldn't approach, Shun Xueqing was still absorbed, and the tour group continued to exclaim constantly. This spirit root is called the flowing golden flower fruit tree, numbered N276. It's 3 zhang tall. Its leaves like gold, roots like jade, capable of shedding flying leaves to harm people. Thus it poses a certain risk. This sword-type divine weapon is numbered C H12. The sword is extremely sharp, and its sword chi can slay any creature within 100 meters, presenting a great danger. No one is allowed to cross the yellow line on the ground. This building ahead is called the Heavenly Separation Pearl Tower, with a dazzling treasure bead suspended at its top. The tower is 20 zhang high, and after exploration, the internal space is relatively safe. The guide from Jekka Group kept explaining and introducing knowledge to the tourists, and Shen Xueqing gradually became immersed in this atmosphere, leading to less interaction with the livestream viewers. Suddenly, while walking near a palace building, Shen Xueqing felt a sudden thrill, as if something was attracting and calling to her. This is one of the most famous buildings on Penglai Fairy Island, which we have named the Earth Treasure Palace. This palace stores ancient books and weapons, but from beginning to end, it's impossible to enter due to an invisible barrier. The guide from Jekka Group appeared solemn, pointing at the palace building ahead that emitted a faintly radiant glow. The 9-tiered jade steps could be seen hanging in the air, with flying eaves sculpted out of green jade bathed in rosy sunlight, the glazed tiles reflecting an inverted image of the purple-red sky dome, and the copper bells on the eaves remained unmoving in the strong wind. Through the hollow glazed window, one can see inside a bookshelf, holding ancient books exuding a heavy sense of history, and divine weapons glittering with spirit light. Upon seeing this, a tourist couldn't help but speak. "Why not try to forcibly enter?" The guide glanced at him and said, "No one can bear the consequences of attacking these structures." Once, the beautiful country's aircraft carrier was consumed by a tsunami due to destruction caused to Penglai Fairy Island, and even now, the wreckage remains at the bottom of the sea, unable to be salvaged. Our current research on Penglai Fairy Island is conducted ensuring safety. After speaking, the guide pointed to a stele erected in front of the palace, which has a 5-fingered groove, and explained, "Based on our speculation, the Earth Treasure Palace should be a book collection pavilion of super ancient civilizations' inherited knowledge. Only specific individuals can enter. That stele is likely the selection mechanism. Those interested can try touching it. Rest assured, it's safe, and maybe you are the destined one for the Earth Treasure Palace." As soon as these words were spoken, the tourists immediately showed interest, lining up one by one under the guide's arrangement, placing their palms in the grooves before the Earth Treasure Palace's stele. However, without exception, there was no response whatsoever. The guide smiled and comforted them. Working on Penglai Fairy Island for so long, there had never been any movement from this Earth Store Palace. He simply didn't believe a blue star human could open it. Shen Xueqing felt a growing, inexplicable agitation within, frequently glancing at the Earth Treasure Palace, her heart pounding. "Miss, it's your turn." The guide called out at this moment, and Shen Xueqing snapped back to reality, stepped forward, and placed her hand on it. "All right, don't be discouraged if it doesn't react. Destiny depends on luck." The guide was reiterating the usual spiel, but before he could finish, a burst of dazzling golden light erupted from the stele. Inside the Earth Treasure Palace, numerous divine weapons resounded with ringing. The ancient books spontaneously fluttered without any wind. "Ha!" The guide's mouth gaped open, his entire expression froze. Other tourists also stared wide-eyed, incredulous at Shen Xueqing, who had instigated this phenomenon. "What is this?" Shen Xueqing herself hadn't anticipated this situation. Her outstretched palm was adhered to the stele. Before she could attempt to pull away, the main hall inside the Earth Treasure Palace automatically opened. A powerful suction appeared, drawing Shen Xueqing in. "Report. A situation has arisen at the Earth Treasure Palace. A tourist has opened the seal." At this point, the guide finally reacted, excitedly reporting to his superiors. Almost at the moment Shen Xueqing initiated entry into the Earth Treasure Palace, the yin-yang two-colored stele at the center of Penglai Fairy Island emitted a brilliant ray straight to the sky. The next instant, across Asia, various phenomena began to synchronously occur. At Qin Shi Huang's mausoleum, numerous visiting tourists felt the ground beneath them tremble. Dragon-sounding utterances emerged. Many terracotta warriors resonated with phantasms of countless troops. Marching arrays, battlefield slaughters, as if these terracotta warriors were about to resurrect from their clay, frightening many tourists to sit hurriedly on the ground. Above Dragon Tiger Mountain, clouds morphed into a giant winged tiger and true dragon entwining each other. Taoist chants fell from the sky, stirring countless Taoists to raise their heads and gaze with tears streaming down their faces. In the middle reaches of the Yangtze River, someone discovered the river water turned murky, mixed with countless sand grains, forming a jiaolong, coursing downward. Where it passed, dark clouds thickened, and torrential rain poured. Inside the Earth Treasure Palace on Penglai Fairy Island, Qin Xueqing was dumbfounded, staring blankly at the shelves filled with ancient books and jade scrolls, and the numerous divine weapons hanging on the walls. The fluctuations in aura emitted by the ancient books felt like a vast array of knowledge akin to stars across heavens. The unintentional strength emitting from the divine weapons seemed as if countless blades were pressing against her skin, causing Qin Xueqing to have goosebumps. At this moment, Qin Xueqing could no longer be concerned about the live broadcast. Her heart pounded nervously. The inner agitation grew particularly intense. Her gaze fell upon the books and jade scrolls shelved on the rack. Unable to contain herself any longer, she carefully stepped forward, attempting to open those ancient books. But these ancient books were shielded by a seemingly invisible golden light. She couldn't touch them. The jade scrolls emanated a profound pressure. Drawing near led to a stabbing pain, mental suppression in her mind, headaches abound. Understanding it wasn't something she could covet. After numerous attempts, Qin Xueqing ultimately followed her inner agitation to a book with a cover made of primitive bark. This time Qin Xueqing extended her hand. The book no longer repelled with golden light. Instead, as she touched it, the book hovered above her head, turning pages automatically, imparting knowledge continuously. Qin Xueqing closed her eyes. The influx of abundant knowledge caused her to fall into a semi-conscious state on the spot. Meanwhile, the portable live broadcast device hanging around Qin Xueqing's neck continued to operate. The live broadcast room exploded entirely. A massive audience began calling friends to witness the miracle. Live viewership soared to millions. Sister Calm. Sister Calm, what are you doing? You're actually a destined one. Wow, big news. Sister Calm has entered the Earth Treasure Palace that no one could enter. Is this the chosen one? Why? I previously visited Penglai Fairy Island too and left a handprint on the steel. Nothing happened. A whole half-hour went by. A repulsive force from the Earth Treasure Palace pushed Qin Xueqing out of the hall. The hall door automatically closed. Yet before Qin Xueqing flew out, a standardized flying sword followed her out. The term standardized was used because there were hundreds of similar flying swords in the Earth Treasure Palace, obviously not a rare item. Qin Xueqing hazily opened her eyes. The hovering ancient book fell into her arms, and in front, a slender flying sword was implanted in the ground. Spirit Palace Sword Breathing Technique. Low-grade magical artifact flying sword. Holding her temple, the knowledge imparted from the ancient book informed Qin Xueqing that she'd gained the most basic inheritance, capable of breathing in nature's spiritual energy. Unconsciously, Qin Xueqing operated the inheritance learned, suddenly perceiving the entire world as strikingly different. The air contained a kind of mysterious energy that refreshed the mind. Qin Xueqing understood this was the spiritual energy mentioned in the inheritance. As she practiced the Spirit Palace breathing technique, nature's spiritual energy began streaming into her body like homing swallows, drilling through 36,000 pores, roosting in meridians and acupoints, following ancient pathways in operation. Hum hum. The flying sword, initially embedded in the ground, autonomously withdrew, floating gently around Qin Xueqing like a feather. However, after merely hovering once, Qin Xueqing was already drenched in sweat, her spiritual power completely exhausted, extremely fatigued. As a novice in cultivation, she naturally couldn't achieve the feat of taking a person's head from 1,000 miles away, only made the sword fly slowly for a few seconds in the air. Such actions, though viewed by onlookers, were already astonishing. Qin Xueqing's live broadcast room had completely exploded. The number of comments was densely packed and unreadable, while on-site tourists were left mouth agape. God, what exactly is happening with this girl? She can control the sword flying through the air. Sword Cultivator. This is sword control technique. Spiritual energy recovery is real. It's real. How lucky. Why haven't I encountered such destiny? I'll be her apprentice. I must ask this girl to teach me this technique. It's so cool. The scene was bustling with chatter, but soon all tourist voices were drowned out by the great noise of helicopter rotors stirring the air. 2 helicopters bearing the JECA Group's insignia arrived at the scene. Before they even stabilized, cabin doors swung open. Several tall shadows leaped down. Bang! 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 From the still dispersing dust and smoke emerged several 3-meter-tall tin cans, none other than JECA Group's famous genetic warriors. Miss Shin, the supreme leader wishes to see you. The leading genetic warrior approached Shin Xueqing. His muffled voice sounded. Ah! See me. Shin Xueqing looked up, realizing she was now the focus of everyone's eyes at the scene, and upon hearing she was to meet the Southeast Asia King. Such a grand occasion stirred a slight panic within her, unable to turn down. 2 days later, Chan Country JECA Group Headquarters Building. Miss Shin, this way please. At the entrance of the building, people from the Supreme Leader's Secretariat were already waiting. Shin Xueqing felt a bit anxious as she looked at the several hundred meters tall building in front of her. After being invited by JECA Group, she had come from Penglai Fairy Island. Over these 2 days she realized that she accidentally unlocked the Earth Treasure Palace at Penglai Fairy Island and learned a cultivation secret technique from it. Penglai Fairy Island is under the JECA Group's jurisdiction, and she didn't know what Lu Yingying would do next due to her actions. With a nervous heart, Shin Xueqing walked into the building, took the dedicated elevator, and finally reached the top floor. Miss Shin, please come in. As the heavy door was pushed open, Shin Xueqing saw in a spacious office the JECA Group's controller and boss of this gigantic entity. Known as the King of Southeast Asia, Equatorial Dominator, New Age Emperor, and the Yutai Butcher Supreme Leader Su Jie. Su Jie was standing by the floor-to-ceiling window, and upon seeing Shin Xueqing come in, he sized her up. In fact, when Su Jie looked at the heavenly Tao fortune above Shin Xueqing's head, compared to what he saw during the last military parade, her heavenly Tao fortune had surged more than tenfold. Because she opened the cultivation inheritance of Penglai Fairy Island, although it's only the basic Spirit Palace sword-breathing technique, meant as foundational cultivation technique for outer disciples in the Tianyuan world, its significance is incredibly profound for Blue Star, which has no prior cultivation system. Apart from the plugin like Su Jie, she is equivalent to Blue Star's first self-born pioneer in cultivation, thus naturally favored by the heavenly Tao, receiving a significant fortune boost. To be honest, Su Jie did not expect that the cultivation system would open so soon, and Shin Xueqing receiving the inheritance wasn't something he deliberately guided. Su Jie had left some relics while reforming the formation over the past year, placing some basic cultivation techniques and magic artifacts inside. Since the spiritual energy recovery was initiated by Su Jie, the stronger this cultivation system, the more heavenly Tao fortune the heavenly Tao will continuously return to Su Jie. It seems that Blue Star's heavenly Tao is also eager to embrace a whole new world. Su Jie gained some insight, understanding that, in a way, a heavenly destiny person could be seen as heaven's beloved child. The quick opening of this inheritance was inseparably related to the heavenly Tao. Supreme Leader Su, sorry, I didn't mean to. Please don't send me to the laboratory. I'll tell you everything I obtained from cultivation, word for word, I promise. Seeing Su Jie looking at her without speaking, Shin Xueqing became even more nervous, turning pale, as she pinched her clothes hem, not knowing where her thoughts were wandering, and trembled as she pleaded. Although she usually is quite articulate, after all, as a broadcaster, she can't be that introverted. Facing a great figure like Su Jie, she couldn't maintain her composure at all. Su Jie chuckled and said, "What? Afraid I'm going to send you to the lab for a dissection? Do you really think I'm that terrifying?" Shin Xueqing's thoughts were written all over her face. Very easy to guess. No, I didn't think that way. Shin Xueqing quickly shook her head, but her facial expression already betrayed her thoughts. After all, JECA Group's biotechnology is renowned worldwide. She herself has undergone changes due to cultivation, her body no longer same as regular humans. Thinking that Jekka Group would use people for research purposes was a normal thought process. Our Jekka Group is not like the beautiful country. We won't violate your personal safety or control your freedom. While speaking, Su Jie pointed outside the floor-to-ceiling window and smiled. Jekka Group is vast and influential. Do you think there's really any need for me to go out of my way to harm you? Even if you have cultivated the inheritance techniques of Penglai Fairy Island, with your combat power, how many genetic warriors do you think you can beat? Thinking this through, over the past 2 days she had forcefully improved her control of the flying sword's duration to 10 seconds. Yet, when facing humanoid single-soldier monsters like the genetic warriors, she was completely outmatched. Not to mention genetic warriors, even a regular person's handgun could kill her. Not a single one. Shen Xueqing understood a bit, and yes, when it comes to individual combat capabilities, Jekka Group leads the world. With her current minor abilities, Jekka Group wouldn't necessarily envy her at all. Therefore, Jekka Group really doesn't need your inheritance from Penglai Fairy Island. Shen Xueqing found it hard to believe. Being brought here, she always thought Jekka Group coveted her cultivation technique. Su Jie couldn't help but laugh. The Spirit Palace sword breathing technique was something he put there in the first place. Moreover, as a Purple Mansion cultivator, would he really eye a basic breathing technique for Yunling Realm outer disciples? He had tens of thousands of cultivation techniques in his hands, not enough time to learn them all. Just talking about it would make people laugh. No need, in fact, after you left, the Earth Treasure Palace of Penglai Fairy Island has already been fully opened. Su Jie waved his hand. The Earth Treasure Palace was left by him, unlocked at any time he wished. Shen Xueqing let out a sigh of relief. It seemed she didn't need to go to the laboratory after all. You probably haven't been online these days, right? In fact, you're not the only one who obtained a cultivation technique. Su Jie opened his laptop and turned it to face Shen Xueqing. Shen Xueqing was taken aback. She had been busy cultivating the Spirit Palace sword breathing technique over the past few days. Having just acquired the inheritance, she enjoyed it thoroughly and hadn't even used her favorite phone much. Over Dragon Tiger Mountain in Hua Country, a phenomenon of dragon and tiger fighting was witnessed, with a phantom of Qilin running, causing an earthquake on the mountain. It is said that at the cracked ground, inheritance techniques came into being. The official statement has denied this, insisting it was a bizarre astronomical phenomenon. A mysterious Sanskrit scripture appeared on the body of a Buddha statue at an ancient Buddha tower site in India, with citizens suspecting it to be a cultivation technique. However, an interview revealed that the Indian government has clarified this matter as mere rumor. In the middle reaches of the Yangtze River, a Jiaolong phantom was seen appearing out of the water. On the river surface where the Jiaolong had passed, dragon scales were found, and the people who picked them up claimed there were remnants of a cultivation technique on them. However, the official source refuted this claim. Reports indicate that these citizens have reportedly vanished, seemingly co-opted by the authorities. On Penglai Fairy Island, a cultivation inheritance emerged and was obtained by a webcaster. Currently, this webcaster has been forcibly controlled by the Jekka Group, whose domineering actions mirror those of robbers. Penglai Fairy Island belongs to the world, and cultivation techniques rightfully belong to all humanity. One after another, news and reports appeared before Shen Xueqing's eyes. These were all incidents from within the past 2 days. Besides the news about her experiences on Penglai Fairy Island, over 10 occurrences of suspected emergence of cultivation techniques were gradually uncovered at famous historical sites and ancient relics across Asia, but without exception, were all denied by the respective national governments. The majority of these reports were made by countries outside of Asia, reflecting a sentiment akin to sour grapes. Moreover, Shen Xueqing also saw some video materials, featuring a Taoist on Dragon Tiger Mountain capable of emitting a weak flame from his fingertip, and a citizen using spiritual power to blow fallen leaves off the ground, among other videos. In India, a great monk used spiritual power to leave golden Sanskrit in the air. These videos were swiftly deleted from the internet, yet the intelligence agency of the Jekka Group managed to collect and retain them. Clearly, these were some fortunate individuals who acquired cultivation techniques, but were quickly co-opted by various countries, and related information was erased online. Turns out, I'm not the only lucky one. A mixed sense of emotion filled Shen Xueqing's heart. There was a feeling of relief that she wouldn't become the sole focal point of attention, yet a tinge of disappointment that she wasn't the only special being among billions of humans. Now, all the countries that have obtained cultivation techniques have unified their rhetoric, vigorously concealing this matter. Su Jie tapped on the table. These incidents were naturally connected to Su Jie. Some relics were deliberately activated by Su Jie, while some were inadvertently opened by heaven's chosen individuals like Shen Xueqing. As he spoke, Su Jie looked sharply at Shen Xueqing. So, Miss Shen, are you interested in being the first to stand up, openly acknowledge that humanity is entering an era of cultivation evolution, and cooperate with our Jekka Group's actions to speak out for the world's uninformed masses? Ah, me? Shen Xueqing was stunned as she finally understood Su Jie's implication. Yes, you. Your live broadcast on Penglai Fairy Island gathered many viewers and has a natural credibility. Demonstrating your abilities in the public eye would define this matter. Meanwhile, our Jekka Group plans to openly conduct a talent screening for cultivation potential across all territories, setting up special training classes to ensure not a single talent is wasted. Su Jie smiled, saying, "Imagine the scene, being in the spotlight, gaining fame and fortune." Su Jie's aim was to ignite a new era of spiritual energy. He was fully aware of the intentions of various countries, which was nothing more than to keep complete control over transcendent individuals and the cultivation system, fearing its impact on existing power structures and rule. Fame and tools cannot be entrusted to others. Similarly, ordinary people gaining cultivation techniques to become transcendent individuals posed a huge challenge to the ruling class. But understanding aside, the cover-up actions of various nations did not align with Su Jie's interests. As the greater the transformation of Blue Star under spiritual energy, the more heavenly Tao fortune feedback Su Jie would receive. As for other countries' perspectives, Su Jie couldn't care less, as Su Jie had to defend his own Blue Star. As for arranging Shen Xueqing, Su Jie wanted to see how much the heavenly Tao fortune of a heaven's chosen individual from Blue Star could augment, facilitating Su Jie's subsequent harvesting. I agree. This time, Shen Xueqing did not hesitate much and nodded in agreement. As long as she wasn't dragged to a lab for dissection, appearing in public wasn't all that scary for a broadcaster like her. A pleasant cooperation. Su Jie smiled upon hearing her response, shook her hand, and signaled his secretary to see her off. Formally usher in the spiritual transformation, my Blue Star. Su Jie looked toward the floor-to-ceiling window, as if envisioning the splendid world to come. Within a dozen days, just as various countries were busy hiding the truth and dispelling the doubts of ordinary people about transcendent teaching and cultivation inheritances, suddenly, the Jekka Group made a significant move, publicly announcing a press conference to disclose information about transcendent individuals. The news sent shockwaves through Blue Star, surprising countries, with countless journalists and media rushing over. On the day of the press conference, Shen Xueqing appeared regal, dressed in an ancient swordsman's suit, with a long sword at her waist. Due to the appearance of the white sun, our Jekka Group detected an energy in the air, which we have temporarily named spiritual energy. It is the presence of this energy that allows individuals to master extraordinary power through their own abilities, in conjunction with available cultivation technique inheritances. I understand there will be skepticism, so now, I invite Miss Shen to the stage. Miss Shen obtained a transcendent inheritance on Penglai Fairy Island, specifically the Spirit Palace sword breathing technique, which enhances the human body, allows usage of sword skills, and enables sword control from a distance, capable of cutting through iron as if it were mud, and even taking heads from 1,000 miles away. Now, let Miss Shen demonstrate what extraordinary power is. The spokesperson gave the stage to Shen Xueqing, as countless reporters aimed their cameras and camcorders at her, the clicks of flashbulbs incessant. I'm not as powerful as they claim. Shen Xueqing's face flushed. Taking heads from 1,000 miles was really too much to expect from her. Staff brought out several dummies, all highly realistic, made according to human physiology and typically used in car crash tests, virtually identical to real bodies. Taking a deep breath, Shun Xueqing let out a soft shout, and the long sword at her waist unsheathed automatically. It was the standard low-grade magical artifact flying sword. With a flash of cold light, the flying sword flew like an arrow, striking a dummy 5 meters away, slicing through its neck, and causing the head to roll away. All the journalists widened their eyes. Watching the automatically flying sword in the air left them in momentary disbelief, and in the next instant, exclamations echoed across the room. A big news story was here. Shun Xueqing moved about as she controlled the flying sword to slash through the dummies. She needed to move because she could currently only control the sword within a 5-meter radius. Soon, all dummies had their heads severed. Although the standard low-grade magical artifact was the lowest class of magic tool, it was a product of Tianyuan World, and its sharpness was beyond adequate, slicing through dummies like a knife through butter. In just a minute, Shun Xueqing concluded her demonstration. All dummies were dealt with, fortunately just in time as her spiritual power was already depleted. Any further would have embarrassed her. In reality, Shun Xueqing had only been in contact with cultivation for a little over half a month, and Blue Star's current spiritual energy density was still far less than that of Tianyuan World, making cultivation 10 times more difficult. To have achieved this was already an extraordinary accomplishment, indicating immortal seed potential in Tianyuan World. Ladies and gentlemen, this is extraordinary power. This is individual transcendence achieved through cultivation. Currently, Miss Shin's power is steadily increasing, and she will become even stronger in the future. Meanwhile, our JECA group will officially spread the extraordinary system throughout our jurisdiction, recruiting citizens who have potential for cultivating extraordinary power, aspiring to make everyone under the heavens like a dragon. As expected, with the JECA group's public disclosure of the existence of transcendence, the whole world was abuzz. People globally had a mostly optimistic attitude towards the public revelation of transcendence, believing they were surely the lucky ones. However, various governments had significant discontent with the actions of JECA Group. It was an unspoken agreement to keep the lid on this, yet JECA Group went ahead and lifted the roof, making the transcendent issue public, causing them tremendous pressure. Especially the governments that had gained inheritances from historical ruins faced massive demonstrations from their citizens, demanding the public disclosure of cultivation techniques and allowing personal cultivation. Of course, no country would willingly do such a thing, not to mention the problems of secret transmission of techniques. Once ordinary people mastered transcendent powers, it would undoubtedly pose a huge threat to the existing ruling class. In countries where even firearms are strictly controlled, how could the government allow you to become a threat hundreds of times more dangerous than guns? Such uncontrollable threats are something that those in power are desperately trying to avoid. On the other hand, JECA Group didn't have so many concerns and immediately launched a grand talent search in Southeast Asia after their press conference. Siam, the capital Manchester. In the central square, the crowd surged like a black mass. Countless Siamese citizens stood on tiptoe, bringing their families to the scene. At the square, JECA Group's Transcendent Talent Search team had already arrived. It's Shin Jianxian. She's so beautiful. She's my idol. I wonder if I could get an autograph photo. I want to be like her. Become a sword cultivator who can fly anywhere. When Shun Xueqing got off the bus with the JECA Group's work team, the scene was deafening with excitement, startling Shun Xueqing. Realizing her popularity was indeed well known even in Siam. Miss Shin, we're counting on you. A staff member came over, asking Shun Xueqing to demonstrate her skills a bit. Leave it to me. Shun Xueqing patted her chest. This was also her agreed cooperation with JECA Group to popularize the real existence of transcendence to the public. Seeing is believing. Nothing convinces the masses more than witnessing firsthand. Hello, everyone. I'm Shun Xueqing. Shun Xueqing performed the sword control technique in front of the audience, the agile and nimble flying sword weaving through the air, cutting through the mannequins. Her profound presence shone on the large screens surrounding the square, evoking thunderous cheers. Next up, I will showcase my latest cultivation achievements. With the enthusiastic atmosphere, Shen Xueqing demonstrated a unique skill. She lowered the flying sword, then stepped onto the sword's body, as she operated the Spirit Palace sword breathing technique. The flying sword shakily rose from the ground, holding Shen Xueqing suspended several meters in the air, moving in a way slower than a granny's pace. Despite wanting to fly higher and faster, her spiritual power didn't allow her to do so. Of course, Shen Xueqing's act wasn't really flying, it was merely levitating off the ground. If this scene were spotted by genuine sword cultivators from Tianyuan World, Shen Xueqing would be criticized for tarnishing the reputation of sword cultivators. No real sword cultivator flies by stepping on a flying sword. Sword cultivators ride the sword light to soar the skies. Stepping on flying swords not just restricts speed, it entirely drops the prestige. Yet on Blue Star, this was extraordinary enough. After all, being able to levitate using one's own capabilities without any external aids already garnered admiration and envy from the onlookers. The cheers kept escalating. After a round of demonstration, Shen Xueqing was exhausted, sweating profusely. At this moment, the Jekka Group staff also finished their work, erecting several person-height steels for the citizens to test themselves. Only those with sufficient talent would trigger a reaction from the steel. However, those who could truly cause the steels to react were a few and far between. Shen Xueqing observed for quite a while, only seeing a 12 or 13-year-old boy activate a faint glow on the steel. The spiritual energy concentration of Blue Star was indeed far less than Tianyuan World, and under such conditions, those who could pass the talent test would be regarded as of excellent aptitude in Tianyuan World. Bao Zhe, 13 years old, sea-level talent, rewarded with 1 million dragon coins, eligible to enroll in the specialized extraordinary class to learn inherited cultivation techniques. During the course, food and accommodation are fully covered, with a monthly learning subsidy of 20,000 dragon coins. After graduation, you may choose to work in Jekka Group's Transcendent Affairs division or pursue your own path freely. The words from the staff immediately turned the eyes of onlookers red. 1 million dragon coins. This was a massive fortune, a scale many people couldn't save in their lifetime, let alone having subsidies for learning, plus the possibility of joining Jekka Group, known for their crazy benefits and regarded as a place locals strive to get into. Dad, I succeeded. I'm going to become a Superman. The young boy excitedly leaped around, seemingly already envisioning his transfiguration into a Superman. However, the boy didn't know that cultivation wasn't only about talent. Wealth, companions, techniques, and places. Each is a huge hurdle. That's also why Jekka Group dares to actively cultivate transcendence. Other national forces aren't able to have this ability. The boy and his family hugged, shedding tears of joy. With a successful example, it further fueled the enthusiasm of the remaining citizens. Sadly, talent is innate, you either have it or you don't. In the end, only a handful could pass the talent test. Among the dozen or so who succeeded, most possessed C-level talents, 2 had B-level talents, and none had an A-level talent. However, for the ordinary citizens, simply passing the test was akin to an overnight leap to great success, leaving no room for further ambitions. At the scene, each person who successfully met the talent requirements received an envious gaze from others, almost wishing to take their place. The same occurrences were happening repeatedly across Southeast Asia, where the Jekka Group's actions set a model for countries worldwide. Beautiful country, New Mexico, capital city of Santa Fe. In a coffee shop, an Asian couple sat across from each other. The man wore a black leather jacket, and the woman wore a white long dress. The many patrons in the coffee shop couldn't help but frequently glance over as they sipped their coffee. Though the man looked unremarkable, he exuded a particular aura, giving an intangible sense of pressure. The woman's skin was fair as snow, with exquisite features and a graceful figure, emanating a tranquil aura akin to a chrysanthemum in autumn. These two were none other than Su Jie and Lu Yingying, having altered their appearances. It's only been a few days, and the entire Blue Star has started to undergo drastic changes. Lu Yingying, playing as she walked, couldn't help but sigh. The most frequent topic among the coffee shop patrons was the discussion of the white sun and the various sightings occurring in different places, including the news about transcendence published by the Jekka Group. These activities couldn't escape Lu Yingying's ears. But some countries are progressing too slowly, and I should help them like this beautiful country. Su Jie slightly curled his lips, taking a gentle sip of coffee, allowing the bitterness to flow through his mouth and extending his divine sense. Kilometers, tens of thousands of meters, hundreds of thousands of meters, the divine sense continuously expanded from Su Jie as the center, quickly exceeding the city of Santa Fe, encompassing hundreds of kilometers around. The Taishu heavenly destiny was also activated, with Su Jie's Yang God leaving the acupoint, flying to the high heavens, observing the land from an overlooking perspective. The Taishu heavenly destiny technique could not only see the heavenly Tao fortune but also the spirit vein, earth vein, land of evil, and so on. The land turned into void, with various colors of smoke columns rising. White represented spirit veins, yellow represented earth veins, often indicating special minerals generated from the nourishment of spiritual energy, and red indicated the land of evil. At this moment, in Su Jie's vision, the land was generally presented in a black-red hue, with smoke filled with ominous energy spread across the view, vaguely accompanied by many resentful, vengeful, and unwilling ghostly wails. The land of evil can be simply understood as land that has become eerie and terrifying due to too many people dying with resentment. If not dealt with, it often breeds fierce ghosts, zombies, and evil spirits. A land of great misfortune, Su Jie muttered to himself. This land in the beautiful country had been stained with too much Indian blood. During the westward movement in the beautiful country, it was about seizing wealth and land from the Indians, scalping Indians for bounties, which naturally sent resentment soaring across this land. If there had been no spiritual energy recovery, that would have been it. But now, with the spread of spiritual energy recovery, it also nourished the evil Yin Qi on this land. If left unchecked, the future beautiful country would certainly be overrun with ghosts and monsters. But this was precisely what Su Jie desired. Indeed, the beautiful country is a land of talent and spirits, the perfect holy land for demon path cultivation. I've decided it's you. Su Jie displayed a smile. Previously, he disseminated mainly righteous sect cultivation techniques. Being a demon cultivator himself, there couldn't be a lack of demon cultivation methods. The demon path is also an integral part of the cultivation system, indispensable. With light comes darkness. This, too, complements the heavenly Tao of Blue Star, significantly boosting Su Jie's heavenly Tao fortune. Boss, a cup of Blue Mountain. The coffee shop door swung open, and an Indian young man walked in. His hair slightly curly, dressed in a white shirt, with very noticeable dark circles. Su Jie glanced in that direction, spotting the heavenly Tao candle as large as a volleyball over the man's head, even stronger than the first time he encountered Shun Xueqing. Interesting. Su Jie then cast a gaze at a Chevrolet SUV that had just parked outside the coffee shop, with an amused smile on his lips. What's going on? Lu Yingying was curious about Su Jie's reaction. There's a good show coming soon. Su Jie waved his hand leisurely, slowly sipping his coffee. After ordering, Lachika casually found a seat. He was wearing a hoodie, mask, and sunglasses, hiding most of his face. Lachika was a genuine Indian, with his father being a priest from the Indian reservation, and his parents always hoped to groom him into a new generation priest. The Indian faith is closely tied with nature, involving worship of nature, deities, and totems. So-called priests serve roles similar to tribal wizards, or like bishops in the church court holding high status. Unfortunately, although he grew up influenced by his father's shaman beliefs, Lachika never believed these mystical things. While other Indians in the reservation might be superstitious, growing up with his father, he knew his father lacked any abilities beyond average, and he scorned such charlatan actions. So, upon reaching adulthood, he left his hometown to work outside, although facing discrimination due to his race in the beautiful country society. However, being intelligent since a young age, he gradually stood out in his work. He originally thought life would continue like this, but just a few days ago, Local police suddenly came knocking without a word, intending to take him away. La Chica was completely baffled, always law-abiding, unaware of why he would attract police attention. Vaguely sensing something amiss, he escaped through a window before the police entered, since he distrusted the police in the beautiful country, fearing they were looking to harass him due to his skin color. He had previously encountered such situations just because he was Indian, being stopped by police on the road and fined with various pretexts. After escaping, the situation spiraled increasingly out of control. La Chica always felt more police were seeking him, though he did nothing wrong. Fortunately, he had good luck, often narrowly evading police tracking. Strange. Why can't I get through to my family's phone? Could something have happened to my parents too? Staring at his phone, La Chica wanted to vent his experiences to his family, but his parents' and relatives' phones were unreachable. This made La Chica increasingly anxious and uneasy, with a growing sense of foreboding. Simultaneously, in the parking space outside the coffee shop, inside a Chevrolet Suburban vehicle, several men in uniforms with FBI printed on the back were checking their firearms. "Johnny, Tane, Doran, check your ammo so we don't let him get away." A man with brown eyes spoke slowly. He was CJ Holden, the leader of this team. "Damn local police. Can't even catch an ordinary person, making us step in personally. I reviewed the police surveillance footage. This kid has unbelievably good luck. Feels a bit spooky. Could he really know witchcraft? No way. If he knew witchcraft, those police wouldn't be unharmed." Several FBI agents cursed softly. Such simple tasks required their intervention, ruining a good vacation. CJ waved his hand. "Don't be careless. This guy's a named target from the higher-ups." "Boss, why do the higher-ups want this kid?" The burly Johnny grumbled, having just been called back from vacation, not knowing the target's identity. "This guy's from a priest family. Recently, the East reported frequent ancient relic appearances with transcendent heritage. Our beautiful country has nothing yet. There's a joke that says our country's history book is the world's thinnest. The congressmen have pinned hopes on the Indians to see if they can dig up their relics for something." CJ shrugged, sharing a joke with his teammates, then felt the timing was right, drew his pistol from his waist. "Move, move, move. Bring that kid in. The sooner we finish, the sooner we're off work." Johnny pushed the cafe door open and entered quickly with CJ, locking eyes on La Chica's position. "FBI." Just as CJ spoke, La Chica sprang up and dashed away without a word. "Stop!" CJ pulled out the taser from his waist, but La Chica was too quick. La Chica had been highly alert, and as soon as CJ arrived, sensing trouble, La Chica tipped over the table and bolted. "Johnny!" CJ shouted, and the tall and burly Johnny snorted, chasing after La Chica. In terms of physical prowess, La Chica was definitely no match for the FBI agents, and the gap closed quickly. The customers in the store realized what was happening, and many began recording with their phones, showing amused expressions as they watched the police chase. "Kid, still trying to run?" Johnny caught up to La Chica from behind and reached out to grab him. Just then, a waiter was carrying a tray out, and La Chica snatched the tray and splashed its contents onto Johnny, drenching him in soup and sauce, blinding his vision. "Damn squid!" Johnny was furious, quickly wiping the food off his face, looking extremely embarrassed. Bang! CJ fired at La Chica, but missed with his taser shot, hitting a passerby instead, causing them to convulse. CJ was equally angry. He had been about to hit the target when a passerby stood up, causing him to miss. La Chica desperately didn't want to be caught by the FBI. He was searching for an opportunity to escape through a window. "Target heading your way. Intercept him." CJ spoke into his earpiece, seeing La Chica's escape direction, confidently. Elsewhere, La Chica, about to jump out the window, was stopped by the barrel of a gun. Two FBI agents previously lying in wait blocked La Chica, forcing him back. "Damn!" La Chica cursed but obediently raised his hands, squatting because here in the beautiful country, any resistance or dangerous moves could result in an empty clip shot. "Bastard!" Why aren't you running? Johnny kicked LaChica hard. If it weren't for CJ stopping him, indicating others were recording, he would have continued his violent arrest. Why? Why are you always after me? I haven't broken any laws. LaChica yelled in discontent. He felt unlucky, suddenly pursued by the police, losing his job, and now being taken to the station. LaChica, you're suspected of endangering our beautiful country's national security. Come with us for investigation. It's not up to you to decide if you're innocent, but through proper investigation, and if clear, you'll be free. CJ took out handcuffs, squatting to cuff LaChica. At this moment, a gunshot echoed through the cafe. The bullet landed at CJ's feet, sending a shiver up his spine. Wish, 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 wish. CJ and the others ignored LaChica, dodging and aiming towards the direction of the shots. The unexpected gunfire threw the cafe into chaos. The customers who were filming now screamed and fled outside. The crowd masked the vision of CJ and others, preventing them from seeing who's shooting. But LaChica, his head facing the shooting direction, clearly saw an Asian youth firing, and although he didn't understand why the youth helped him, he seized the chance to slip away amidst the chaos. Several more shots rang out, bullets passing by. CJ and others finally saw the shooter, an Asian youth. There! Tane and Doran, two FBI agents, spotted the enemy first. Just as they were about to pull the trigger, two bullets precisely hit them in the eyes. Bang! Bang! The two bodies swayed a bit, then collapsed to the ground, blood pooling and staining the cafe floor. CJ and Johnny hid behind a table, realizing the shooter's accuracy was dangerous, and called for backup on their radios, no longer daring to shoot back. Let's go. Su Jie tossed his gun, leisurely leaving the cafe with Lu Yingying amidst the chaos. LaChica mixed in with the crowd as well, meeting Su Jie at the cafe door, expressing gratitude. Thanks, brother. You should leave quickly too. Soon the police will move in with full force. Su Jie glanced at LaChica, noticing his previously dim Heavenly Dao candle now blazing. Clearly, LaChica's Heavenly Dao fortune wasn't ending here. Or perhaps, due to Su Jie's presence, LaChica's Heavenly Dao fortune mysteriously led him to the cafe. Only Su Jie could help LaChica escape this death trap. Luck alone couldn't evade national capture, but Su Jie could. Innate Taoist body, Su Jie also noticed something intriguing. LaChica's constitution was unique, ranking 5th in divine body as the innate Taoist body, renowned in Tianyuan world. Thinking of this, Su Jie rubbed his chin and laughed. Young man, you need to believe in your own strength. Your bloodline is not simple. After speaking, Su Jie leisurely left with Lu Yingying. LaChica was at a loss, but now was not the time to dwell on this. Escaping was the priority. 3 days later, outside the Indian Brag Reservation, LaChica, who had been on the run, drove a battered pickup truck and saw his birthplace from a distance. In the beautiful country, the reservations are the last regions where the beautiful people have driven the Indians. The original owners of this continent have been replaced by the whites, and the Indians have become a minority, barely surviving within the reservations. To legitimize the occupation of Indian land, the beautiful country's courts passed a law stating Indians can only use the land within the beautiful country but do not own it, stripping the Indians of land ownership. In coordination with the beautiful country government and the Indians, the beautiful country government even set up the Bureau of Indian Affairs, under which the reservations fall. Indians living in the reservations are not allowed to freely leave or enter. The periphery of the reservations is guarded by special police. The economy and infrastructure within the reservations, such as schools, hospitals, and fire services, are notably poor and cannot compare to other towns in the beautiful country. Calling it a large concentration camp might be an exaggeration, but it's hard for ordinary people to imagine that such backward existences still exist in a country that upholds the banners of democracy and freedom. To this day, there are still more than 300 Indian reservations in the beautiful country, backward like desolate places forgotten by the world. Yet they are the last resting place and sanctuary for all Indians, becoming the only spiritual home and refuge for Indians. Although LaChica hadn't returned for 2 years, He was still very familiar with every tree and bush here. The only unfamiliar thing is that the previous police-stationed areas now have an increased police presence, and the level of martial law is incomparable to the past. What on earth happened? LeChica looked grim. He saw this scene from afar through binoculars. His arduous escape journey was meant to return to his ancestral land to find his parents. But the scene he saw made him particularly uneasy. No, I must go back and take a look. LeChica gritted his teeth. He was too familiar with the place where he grew up from childhood. Although the police had strengthened the martial law forces, when night fell, he still found a hidden tunnel. This was previously used by gangs to smuggle opium to the reserves and later to smuggle Jekka Group's products. Although the reserve was poor due to the blockade, many things could be sold at high prices. LeChica knew about this tunnel because his father was a priest of the reservation, a position of high authority, and the gang's secret passage couldn't be hidden from the high ranks. Smoothly bypassing the police's barbed wire and surveillance areas, LeChica entered the reservation. Compared to the past, the reservation was even more deserted, with hardly any pedestrians walking on the roads, and everyone's faces were gloomy, their eyes lacking any luster. LeChica ran all the way back to his home in the center of the reserve, only to find the front door sealed with a government notice, and the house empty. A layer of dust lay on the table, indicating no one had lived there for some time. How could this be? Where on earth did my parents go? A bad premonition came true as LeChica wandered the house for half an hour, feeling on the verge of collapse. He had already guessed that the police's attempt to capture him likely had a deep connection with his parents. Thinking of this, LeChica found a neighbor's house that still had lights on and went to knock on the door. Aunt Herrera. When the door opened, a middle-aged, plump woman appeared in front of LeChica. She was the reservation's accountant and LeChica's neighbor. LeChica, why are you back? Seeing it was LeChica's face, Herrera looked surprised, then glanced around, quickly pulling him inside and nervously shutting the door. Aunt Herrera, I want to know where my parents went. Did something happen to them? LeChica's voice was dry as he eagerly asked. After a moment of silence, Herrera looked at LeChica's anxious expression, sighed, and said, "A few days ago, your father said he could feel a magical power in the air. He firmly believed it was guidance from the gods, capable of leading us Indians out of our predicament. He wanted us to hold a grand sacrificial ceremony and summon the great feathered serpent god to grant us strength. However, before the sacrificial ceremony began, somehow news got leaked, and the police from the beautiful country suddenly came and arrested your parents, as well as many of our Indian compatriots. Now we are being strictly controlled, and we can't leave the reserve freely. We must report our whereabouts to the police station every day." Hearing this, LeChica's heart sank completely. Full of grief, he clutched his hair with reddened eyes. Why did the beautiful country arrest my parents? This might be related to the extraordinary incident announced by the Jekka Group. Your father thought we could also awaken our own extraordinary power, complete the sacrificial ceremony, and invite the power of the feathered serpent god and the spirit of nature. Herrera shook her head, her expression mournful. At that time, everyone was very excited, believing that if we could possess such miraculous power, we could free ourselves from the oppression of the beautiful country government. But once the information was leaked, everything became uncontrollable. Damn the beautiful country. Fuming with anger inside, LeChica felt helpless as his parents were taken away, not knowing their current situation. Your parents might be fine, and you'll definitely see them again in the future. With Herrera's comforting words, LeChica returned to his old home. The house bore clear traces of being searched, and after his parents' capture, the police searched LeChica's home. Many materials left in the study had disappeared, taken by the beautiful country police. Wait a minute. LeChica seemed to recall something, suddenly jumping from the sofa and quickly heading to the bathroom, where he retrieved a wooden box from a hidden compartment. Inside the box was a black ancient book with a cover depicting a giant soaring feathered serpent. It contained writings about Indian faiths, deities, nature worship, shamans, and similar topics. The priest's bloodline has passed through generations, and this ancient book was a family heirloom in Lechika's lineage. His father had said upon Lechika reaching adulthood that this ancient book would be passed to him. Unfortunately, Lechika was then focused on escaping the reservation and was unwilling to inherit the priest role. Extraordinary power. Sitting on the sofa, Lechika opened this ancient book he once disdained. He believed his father's words might not be false because, in recent days, he too had vaguely felt a special energy flowing in the air, particularly strong each morning at sunrise. Lechika didn't know he possessed the renowned innate Taoist body, a constitution close to nature and spiritual energy. If in a spiritless environment, this constitution would be no different from an ordinary person's, only slightly more responsive and healthier. But with the presence of spiritual energy, everything changes. Even on a spiritual energy-scarce blue star, the uniqueness of the innate Taoist body allows it to sense and absorb the sparse spiritual energy automatically, without any inherited cultivation techniques. Just like Han Ruyan, before she became a fierce ghost, had the heavenly spinning jade light body, ranking 7th among divine bodies. Even focusing on studies like chess, calligraphy, and painting without much cultivation, she had a cultivation in the Yunling realm of levels 6 to 7. Taking a deep breath, Lechika earnestly opened the ancient book for the first time and started to study it carefully. The more Lechika read, the more captivated he became, feeling as though the words contained a mysterious power attracting his full attention. Boom! In a daze, Lechika felt like a bolt of thunder exploded in his mind, pouring countless profound pieces of knowledge into his brain, aggregating into a scroll emanating a sinister black aura. Vaguely, Lechika saw a blurry human silhouette standing in a blood sea, with a gigantic beast bearing wings and a single eye overshadowing the sky behind him.